listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. It's the final one of July. How's your week going? Huh? You're over the hump? Thanks for kind of doing it with us here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Top of the morning to you, Mark.
Morning, David. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Got a good night's sleep.
That's the key.
That's
what they say.
Right. Well, especially if you can have a good night's sleep like midway through the week. You know, it's nice to have one Sunday night or Monday night and what have you, but it's really nice if you could have one like Wednesday night, because now I could pretty much just fall forward to the finish line.
Just recharge the batteries and be ready to go.
Right.
That's it.
Listen, I've got mega billions on the brain.
Okay.
I got to admit, had Chinese food last night with Mom and Aunt Kathy, and of course, you get the fortune cookies with it.
Right.
And they come with what?
Lucky numbers.
There you go. So they gave us 4 fortune cookies, and so I got 4 fortunes in my wallet. And later today, I gotta go buy those tickets.
Hopefully the same amount of numbers are on the back of the fortune cookie that are required to buy the Mega Millions.
I believe it is the perfect amount.
Let's hope so, because if not, you'd really be verklempt.
Exactly. I'd be like, well, I got to pick. I got to delete one. Which number am I deleting?
Do they highlight one so you know which one to play for the Powerball?
I'm just going with the last one.
Okay.
As the right. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
So, and not only that, this is how really over the edge I am about this mega billions. I'm now going to start using our magic numbers every morning and use them as well.
Keep going. You do you, David.
Mark, at this point, you're either completely ignoring it, all right? You're doing what you do, which is like, yeah, I'll buy one. What the heck? I'm in the game. Or you become like me. You become an idiot. And then that's okay. If I'm going to be an idiot, I want to do it over $1 billion.
Thank goodness someone's tipping you in the Twitch chat room right now. It's paying for another half a ticket, David.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. But the magic numbers, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a lot of them. I mean, if you just want to stick with football, it's a week away from the Hall of Fame game. That's pretty much just for Adam in our Twitch chat room. Who's outside of he and JP Chadrick, we don't know anybody else who roots for the Jags. 30 days from today, week 0, college football, Nebraska Northwestern, Vandy and Hawaii, and a bunch of FCS games. But Mark, 5 weeks today, 35 days away, week 1 of the college football season, 42 days away, 6 weeks today, Bills and Rams at SoFi. If you want to, it's 2 weeks today, the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit. You could throw 14 in there, 7, 14, 30, 35, 42. Huh?
Wow. One more and we got a Powerball ticket.
See? But you can do a Mega Millions with that. 7, 14, 30, 35, 42. I think you can do that. And if not, just throw your lucky number in there. Bada bing, bada boom.
There you go. We've just made everybody a billionaire.
I have these numbers written down to see if we even get one.
Oh, don't worry, we won't. But I love your positivity, David.
See, it's not positivity. I wish. Come on, does anybody really think they're going to win? No, this is throwing pennies into the wish fountain, is what it feels like. Come on. Sure, this is be cute. Yeah, sure, right. You know what I'm going to wish for? I'm going to wish to win the lottery. Ha, 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 ha. But Mark, it's fun. Come on, you just dream. That's what those of us are doing. We're dreaming. It's getting us through the week, to be honest with you. It's nice of this jackpot to have not won for a while. I mean, it's kind of getting us through a couple of weeks here. Like you keep you were going to buy an MLS team. Now you're up to buying the Arizona Coyotes.
I do have an NHL team in my sights if I win this. There's no doubt. We've moved past low-rung MLS teams to low-rung NHL teams.
Right.
A couple more weeks, you might even be able to buy a low-rung NBA team, David, at the rate this is going.
I was going to say the Sacramento Kings. they may be bought and moved. Where are you going to relocate the Sacramento Kings, Mark? Think about it.
Ooh, great question. Thanks a lot. I'll work on that during the show. Maybe St. Louis.
Ooh.
Rename them the Spirit of St. Louis, the team that still was cashing those NBA checks up until a few years ago.
The ABA team. Weren't they
They are the best franchise in the history of sports.
the St. Louis Spirits?
The Spirit of St. Louis.
The Spirit of St. Louis.
Because when the ABA and the NBA merged, they did not get invited to the merger. But what they negotiated was 1/6 or 1/8 of the television contracts. That they get 1/8 share of a television contract in perpetuity, which means for the rest of time.
No.
Yes,
Wow.
look at it. Was amazing. It's the best deal in the history of sports.
That is amazing.
Those guys, and no one would have thought when they did this in the 70s that by the time this deal was still going into the 21st century, that these franchise and these television deals would be so lucrative. They were getting paid. I don't know if it ever got to 9 digits, but I know they were getting 8 digits regularly of what they earned on that deal.
That's generational wealth right there.
And eventually the NBA was like, we can't keep doing this. This is ridiculous. We need to make these guys an offer they can't refuse.
They finally bought them out.
And I think the money they threw at them was 9 figures.
Right.
To buy them out. Right. Basically, I mean, Bobby Bonilla looks at that deal and goes, man, that's a hell of a lot better than the deal I made.
Right.
My deal's pretty good.
So, yes, I would move Sacramento back to St. Louis. There's a void there now.
Well, it's true. NBA and NFL. I mean, they've quite the void. Yes. Miller and Moulton on this final Thursday in July. I'm not trying to trivialize this. I'm not. But the way in which it was first presented, I think to many of us, does kind of trivialize this. Mark, and I don't know if you saw it last night or you woke up this morning and you grab your phone or what have you, but you know, there's a serious matter going on between the United States and Russia. And, you know, Russia wants their arms dealer back, and we'd like the guy who's been over there for 4.5 years, Paul Whelan, back. And then you got this Brittany Griner, basketball player, is also over there, and we'd like her back. And so apparently the Biden administration has offered a trade. And because Brittany Griner's involved, sports outlets have picked up the news. And Mark, they literally, of course, present it when you go on, if you go on it's ESPN or .com, or you go on the Score or other places. I mean, you see it, and it is literally presented like it's a baseball trade deadline proposed deal. I mean, it's almost like, you could read what the Cardinals are reportedly offering for Juan Soto. You can read what the Celtics are reportedly offering for Kevin Durant. You can read what the Lakers and Nets are talking about with Kyrie. And you can also read what the U.S. and Russia are talking about, Paul Whelan and Brittany Griner for Victor Bout.
And a spy to be named later.
Exactly. I mean, I am not trivializing this, but because it involves an athlete, it is on the sports sites, and it is literally being presented as if this is also like the baseball trading deadline, and the deadline is Tuesday.
In fact, David, I have the score up just so I can give you the headline there. U.S. offers Russia deal for Brittany Griner.
Okay, thank you. It's not me, right?
No.
Okay. I didn't see it at like 5:03 a.m. and, I'm
No.
okay.
It's been out there. I saw this midday yesterday. I thought it was the first time I saw it, but you are absolutely right, David.
I mean, is the U.S. getting a left-hand hitting outfielder in this? I mean, do we have the particulars on Whalen and Griner? Does this make us stronger defensively? What does this do? I mean, that's how it's being presented.
It is.
And I got to admit, I'd like a little more information on this Bout guy. I mean, he's an arms dealer.
Merchant of Death, he's called.
Well, okay, now I got to admit that's a hell of a nickname.
Seems like you could get more than just 2 players for the Merchant of Death.
I have to admit, it seems as if we're settling here. It seems as if we're just dealing to make a deal. Yeah. So good. It wasn't me.
Nope.
Okay, good. Because me. I've got the baseball trade deadline. Yankees made a deal overnight. I'm all into this. And okay. So we're looking for Whalen and Griner for the what of death?
Merchant of Death.
Wow. Man. Well, Whalen and Griner must be good.
Griner better average a double-double if that's what we're giving up for.
I was going to say, no doubt about it. She needs to
really step her game up.
Needs to bring her A game. And I got to admit, I don't know much about this Whalen. He seems like he's a throw-in the deal, but I hope he can at least give us some innings out of the pen. Does that make me a bad person? No?
No.
Yes, maybe a little.
I'm not even sure anymore, David.
I'm just trying to make light of a serious situation, which, I mean, needless to say, we in the sports world, we can trivialize things.
And they have done a hell of a job of trivializing this. There's no doubt there.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
No, I think you've got it right.
I mean, it's on, like you said, it's on the score, for goodness sake. I mean, right underneath it, find out what the Cubs are looking for Contreras. I mean, it just seems awkward.
Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening. We'll trivialize some more stuff on the other side on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
David, the Post is Russia pitched Brittany Griner, Paul Whelan swap for Merchant of Death, Victor Bout. They got the nickname in the Post.
Well, there you go.
Have you seen what the dude looks like? The Merchant of Death?
I'm guessing he looks like Al Roboski from back in the day.
He's got like a giant mustache.
Are we getting enough for the Merchant of Death? Is that a good poll question? No?
It might be our best poll question, but I don't think we can go with it. Damn.
You want to go with who's next?
It was just a joke.
I know.
It was a good one, though.
What about private jet or yacht for the Mega Billion?
It's still... Adam, are you serious?
It's National Chili Dog Day, too. Ooh.
Boy. I mean, wasn't it just last week? It was National Hot Dog Day?
I think so.
You allowed to double dip like that?
I don't know. Found myself watching Arizona and the Giants yesterday, David. My life's over.
What?
That was the last game on of the afternoon games. I was watching the Diamondbacks and the Giants.
I'm really sorry. Everything
Me too.
okay?
No. Obviously not. So we're letting go a guy they did a movie about for two nobodies.
We're coming back now.
I don't know, prospects, Mark.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I'm coming at you from Jersey. Get a chance to see my mom. I'm also going to make a trip to see my mom in about 3 weeks' time when it's her birthday. That's kind of the thing, Mark. I started visiting my grandma right around the time when she turned 80. I made sure to come home for her birthday for the rest of her days, and grandma lived to be 95. And so, now that grandma's not here, for my mom, I just want to pop on home. While I'm here this weekend, I'm going to check out the LIV tournament. I mean, I did some research for them, and I said, hey, you guys mind if, stop by and then that sort of deal? And so I just, it's something we've talked about a lot. So I'm going to check it out, report back.
I'm more fascinated with everything not involving the golf of the Live Tour than I am with the golf. I'll be curious how the golf is, if you know what I mean, because nothing about the golf has interested me so far. Really and truly, there's not been one shot taken, not one of the tournament. It doesn't matter. Portland, London, doesn't mean a hill of beans to me. The tour itself, I'm fascinated by.
And they had a big announcement yesterday. They're not going slow, Mark. The initial word from this tour was that they were going to do 8 tournaments this year, 10 next year, 14 in 2024. They went straight to 14. And you're not going to believe this, but they've got the financing. And in fact, all right, they're offering more money. Over $400 million. $405 million is going to be the purses in their 14 tournaments. And they're going all around the world. I will say this is the one thing. Don't know if this will work. And we're very parochial in a way in the States. We usually don't give up about stuff that's going on elsewhere. But the LIV Tour is wanting to be worldwide. They feel that this is their way to attack the PGA Tour and even the European Tour. It's like, you know what? We're going to trump you. We're going to surround you.
And it looks as if they added another name, be it an older name, but another major champion coming to the Live Tour. Bubba Watson reportedly heading to Live Golf. And that's another major champion, another Masters winner that will be playing on the Live Tour.
You have to admit, the Masters, if they wanted to, could probably end the Live Tour. I mean, if you really think about it, if the Masters decided, which you and I do not think they will, and clearly the LIV Tour does not think they will, but if the Masters decided, you know what, we don't want anything to do with you guys. You got Phil, Sergio, Dustin Johnson, Charles Schwartzel, Bubba
Patrick
Watson,
Reed.
Patrick Reed. I mean, that's 6 right off the hop.
That's who they have. They have 6 Masters winners on their tour.
In which now all of a sudden you couldn't play the Masters anymore. And at that point, maybe some of them go, whoa, hold on a second. These checks don't cash as nicely as I thought they do. Because the LIV made sure yesterday to announce, hey, 14 events. They're not going to conflict with any of the majors. They're not going to conflict with any of the major team competitions. You would take that to be what? Ryder and or President's Cup.
Yep.
Right? Next year's a Ryder Cup year. So they're not going to interfere with that. In part not only because nobody would pay attention to them, but heck, they got half of the European team potentially on their tour. They want to make sure that they're free. So these guys, if they can talk the European tour into inviting them back, that they could all go back and play. And they also, this was an interesting phrase, Mark, that the LIV said that they are not conflicting with any, quote, heritage tournaments, unquote.
Okay.
Which then, okay, which events? I'm assuming this is PGA Tour. Maybe it's a biggie on the European Tour also, like the Scottish Open.
Right.
But what PGA Tour events, Mark, would you define as heritage?
I think Jack and Arnie's tournament would be heritage tournaments.
Agreed.
I think the Players would be a heritage tournament.
Okay. So it sounds like then they're not playing in March. Between Arnie and the Players, you pretty much, if you want to try to squeeze an event around that, it gets a little tight. So it sounds like they may take March off.
And then the only other one, I wonder if the WGC World Golf events, the short field events, would they be trying to say our guys are in the top 50, they should be eligible when the lawsuits come, David?
And like the match play. Okay. So what are we talking here? On the PGA Tour, we're talking 5-6 events, and on the European Tour, and I know they count the WGC events as European events, but obviously we don't want to count them on both. So you got the Scottish Open probably on the European Tour, which is a week or two before the Open Championship. So, all right. And one would have to think they've got a broadcasting deal lined up.
Oh, there's not a doubt in my mind. I'd bet I'd lose large sums of money if someone asked me to bet on that, because you wouldn't be making the moves they're making in the broadcast circles if they don't have a partner yet.
So the former president is playing with Dustin Johnson and Bryson DeChambeau today. President Trump attended the LIV party in New York City last night. And Barkley's supposed to be playing today.
Right.
And he had
said, right.
Mark, I had Chinese food with my mom and Aunt Kathy and got dropped off. I'm at a 3-star Marriott. What are you talking about?
Oh, I thought for sure you'd get invited to the party. The pool you have.
The pool I have. Right.
And they're taking care of the caddies. They wouldn't take care of you?
No, I'm not important. Are you kidding me? I provided some research. A few of the broadcasters. Arlo White was doing soccer for 20 years. He just needed to know who these guys were. That's all. That's all I did. I don't even know Arlo. Never met him. That's all. That's my purpose this week, is to just shake hands with the people I sent some research to.
Perfect.
Right, for the first 2 events and go, hey, I'm the fat researcher. Nice to meet you. Oh, there you go. Good luck.
Just go with researcher.
Well, the
I'd
meeting
let them make the determination on their own, though. They can do that themselves. I wouldn't throw those words right in their mouths.
That's true. It really, it's redundant. I wouldn't have to. I mean, you know what they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Boom.
So David is in New Jersey. Felipe and I back in Southwest Florida in the home studios as we get through another week. Training camps are open everywhere now. Now the only thing to pay attention to between now and week 1 is who gets injured in your training camp.
That's right. More people added to the PUP list yesterday because, Tuesday was the day where everybody had to report. Not everybody practiced on Tuesday, but by yesterday they were practicing. And so that meant a lot of guys had to go on the PUP list. A lot. And some even got cut.
So we'll keep you updated on what's going on with your team's training camp. We'll check in with Dolphins training camp today. Mike Masala will join us on the show. We'll find out everything Miami Dolphins from day one. Little coach talk. Coach taking selfies with the reporters yesterday. David, did you catch that?
No.
Yeah, at the end of his presser, he went down and took the selfie with all the reporters, endearing himself to the press. Never a bad way to start. Miller and Moulton, we thank you for listening. The starting five is coming up next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. That's floridasportsnetwork.com for the Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Why is everybody in the media focusing on there's 14 tournaments now, and now these guys have to play so much? 14 tournaments is not that much.
Well, I think what they're focusing on is, remember, the PGA Tour minimum is 15, and the majors don't count. And so for those that left the PGA Tour because they wanted to play less golf, they're now calling them hypocrites because they're basically playing the same amount of golf.
Right. I don't know how many of them have said they play less golf, and maybe one.
Well, like DJ referenced the schedule. The one thing I think these guys will also say is that even if the number of times they play is the same, I think they will like the fact that the LIV series is condensed. You know, that the PGA Tour season, I think they think was too long. So we'll see.
Happy birthday, Jake.
Yeah. Yeah, Jake, you got to throw a 7 and a 28 and a 22 in, don't you?
Kit Kat's up in prices, David.
What? First off, I'm reading here in the chat room. So you mean to tell me the Commanders are trying to sell beers for $27?
That's what Paul's saying.
He really is a moron. Jake, I think we're pretty good. It's the dog days of summer in the sports talk radio world. We're like a baseball team in the third week of August. You know, couple of weeks from now, we'll be reinvigorated. Oh, great. That's fantastic. No. No. I am going to be curious who all's playing in it, though, and I don't mean the golfers. I mean, this is the New York metropolitan area. There's a wide range of people that, in theory, would play in something like this, but will they?
He is.
Oh, no, he is playing.
So is Barkley.
Yeah, Trump's playing with DJ and DeChambeau. Paulina was at the party last night with DJ. That I saw on the post. They had color photos and everything. Imagine that. New York Post at a downtown Manhattan party.
Unbelievable.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. On this final Thursday of the month, a week away from the Hall of Fame game, 2 weeks away from the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit. Really hope you take advantage of this. This is, I don't know many media outlets putting together something like this, quite frankly.
Certainly not for this price. I mean, we're basically giving this away.
We are breaking even on this. That is true. And this is where I am guilty. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, as you know by now, Moulton equals not for profit. Miller
Because
equals
breaking even would mean that everybody gets paid. And Miller and Moulton aren't getting paid for this. This is a freebie. So we are technically losing money for you.
Miller and Moulton may split $1 per person at this thing. And if I'll ask Jim nicely, we probably can get, our food comped.
We'll see.
Well, that's true. I can't guarantee it. I said I'd ask nicely and cross my fingers. So, but very affordable. Dr. Roto, one of the 20 best fantasy folks in the country. He's outstanding, and we have access to him. And 2 weeks from today, Thursday, August 11th, he's agreed to give his insight to you. And if by chance you don't take it all in and remember it, on your way out the door, he's going to give you a one-sheeter and go, here you go. Here are the tips to winning your fantasy football league. Keep them with you throughout the season.
FloridaSportsNetwork.com is where you go to sign up. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. It's all over the page. It's not too hard to find. Our Fantasy Football Summit, August 11th. Check it out now. Sign up now. We'll have a great night. David and I working for free. In your corner, working for you now.
Mark digging deep for his new slogans right there. Fair wear everywhere. Yeah, got it. All right. Time now for
The starting five 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
You know, we're going to have to redo that to get her to get a couple of news catchphrases in that. The starting 5, Moulton, working for you now.
Well, it's time. You know, we did a lot of these voicers, sounders for when we started in early October of last year. So, you know, we're coming up on, we freshen some stuff up. Maybe that's what we'll do. Okay, we'll be sitting in the back. We won't be listening to Roto. We're going to have him on the show every Thursday for 4 months. We don't need to listen to him. We can be sitting in the back working on our new slogans.
Works for me.
I'll buy. How's
Oh,
that
I
sound?
know. Thank you for that.
Well, I just wanted it out there for the record, just so everybody else knew. Let's start with football. Seattle making some news. KJ Wright retiring. And even though he didn't play with them last year, he wanted to come back. Seattle said, KJ, love you. No, we've moved on. So KJ said, yeah, I ain't playing for anybody else. So he retired. Terrific 11-year career. Mark, have you caught the new thing? It started last year. You know, there are holdouts, and then there are hold-ins, in which they figured out, see, I can't hold out because then they can fine me $50,000 a day. But if I hold in, see, I'm here. I got the baseball cap on, you know, backwards, and I'm just hanging out talking to everybody. No, I'm not practicing, but I'm here. Can't find me. I'm not working, but I'm here. And so, you know, my guys and their guys are going to keep talking about a new contract. So we got that going on in Seattle with DK Metcalf. We got it going on in San Francisco with Deebo Samuel. And we got it going on with the LA Chargers with Derwin James. Now I'm here. I'm not holding out. I'm holding in right here. No, I'm not practicing. What, are you kidding me? I get hurt. I need a new contract. I'm not practicing. We'll say Metcalf is making about $4 million this year, final year of his rookie deal.
Yeah, pay him.
Oh, he gonna get paid.
Pay him.
He gonna get paid. I mean, like 25. They're talking. He's gonna get. Mark, I don't know about you. You go from 4 to 25. That seems like a big raise.
It does. That's significant.
Right. 49ers released defensive end D Ford. He's got a back injury. They save a small amount against the cap this year, but the Niners need all the money they can get. I mean, now they've got about maybe $6 million before they figure out what they're doing with Garoppolo. If they can get all of Jimmy G off the books, they'll have about $30 million. They could really do a deal with Deebo and, you know, pay him immediately.
Yeah, I think the only way they get that is cut him. I think everybody knows they've got the Niners over the barrel a little bit, and if you want to trade Jimmy G, you're going to have to eat some of that money. I don't see a way in which they get rid of all the money without cutting him, David.
The only chance the Niners have is a year-long suspension for Deshaun Watson. Cleveland with $48 million. $48 million could take Jimmy G's 24 and change in a heartbeat, and it really wouldn't affect. They could sign Jimmy
Ndamukong Suh.
And still, and if they paid Sue 8 to 10, they'd still have $15 million left over. If I'm a Browns fan, I'm sitting around going, are we really going to let $48 million just sit there and not make ourselves better? There's no one out there that we could use, huh? No one? The Patriots signed Devon Godchaux to a 2-year extension worth about $21 million total. He gets most of it up front. Nearly $18 million of it is guaranteed. Let's go baseball. Rays snap a 4-game skid. They blew a 9th-inning lead, Mark. Mateo homered for the Orioles in the 9th to send it to extra, and they nearly won it in the 9th, too. But the Rays got a 2 RBI double from Rosarena in the 10th to win it 6-4. Toronto lost to St. Louis 6-1. Pujols, 3 hits, 3 RBIs, including a homer. I think that's 686, something like that for Pujols. He has a chance to catch A-Rod. That's the only guy realistically he's got a chance. I think A-Rod ended up with like 693, 696, something like that. He's got a chance to catch A-Rod on the list. Mark, the Red Sox lost again because, well, they played. They've lost 11 of 13. Cleveland with 1 in the 8th, 1 in the 9th, beat them 7-6.
They're a train wreck in the infield, making errors all over the place, throwing the ball around like a little league team. It's embarrassing.
They're below 500. You think of the teams, they're 5 back of the final playoff spot in the American League, Mark. They would have to leapfrog the White Sox, the Orioles, the Guardians, and the Rays to make the playoffs, and they're 5 back. They say they're not selling. Are you sure? Yankees lost the 10th time in 15 games. Lost to the Mets 3-2. Mets scored in the bottom of the ninth to win it. Yankees lead still 11.5, and their lead over the Astros for best record in the AL is 2. But the Yankees obviously concerned. They went out and acquired Royals outfielder Andrew Benintendi.
Who says he's going to get vaccinated right away, David?
What? Wait, hold on a second. You mean to tell me when he was playing for a bad team, he wasn't going to get the shot and play in Toronto, but now that he's going to the Yankees, he's going to get the shot for the one series that the Yankees have left north of the border with the Jays?
Correct.
Wow.
Man, I thought it was just this no facial hair thing.
I thought he had some sort of the moral guide that just about the shot.
Right.
Apparently, it's just a matter of where you are in the standings. That's kind of like going to play for the LIV and saying it wasn't for the money. No, actually, it was for the money. Marlins lost to the Reds 5-3. Reds scored 4 in the first, pretty much ended the game with the way the Marlins score runs. They might as well sell now. I mean, they've had series with the Pirates and the Reds these last 2 weeks.
They can't win them.
And no. So you might as well sell. Brewers beat the Twins 10-4. Brewers lead remains 3. Twins leads down to a game and a half over the Guardians. White Sox had the 9th inning lead and gave up 2 in the bottom of the ninth to Colorado to lose 6-5. They lose a game in the wild card standings, but also had a chance to pick up a game on the Twins and closed it within 2. Phillies scored 5 in the 5th, beat the Braves 7-2. Braves are 3 behind the Mets, now 4 in the loss column. Dodgers scored 6 in the first to avoid the sweep against the Nats 7-1. Their lead's 11.5 because the Padres lost to Detroit 4-3. Victor Reyes with a 2-out, 2-run double for the Tigers to win it. The A's swept the Astros. What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
I think that's 6-7 for the A's, but the fact of the matter is they did sweep the Astros.
But here's the biggie. Guess the attendance.
I went under.
We did 8,000, correct?
Right.
Because they did 4,000 on Monday and 5,100 on Tuesday. Felipe also went under. I went over 93.67.
They've got a little something going on Wednesday afternoon, David.
They got the mighty nooner on Wednesday. Boy, big crowds. But they did draw more people yesterday afternoon than they did for the first 2 games combined. Arizona 5-3 over the Giants. You know, the Giants are with the Red Sox. They're now below 500. And
yes, they are, David. I watched that game. It was 2-2 for the longest time before Arizona broke it open with 3, I think, in the 6th.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. We need to stop. What did you just say?
I watched a good chunk of that game yesterday.
The Giants D-backs?
Yeah, it was on MLB Network.
You watched the MLB Network?
I'm sorry, it's 3 in the 7th.
Are you okay? Are you
No,
in need of,
no.
Are you in,
The MLB Network on a random Wednesday.
Are you in need of an intervention? I mean, does Kirk Ferentz need to help you, not college football? Man, I am worried. All those years you mocked me. Man, don't become me, Mark. Trust me. Trust me. Don't become me. Seattle doubled up Texas 4-2. Seattle's the 5 seed right now, a half a game behind Toronto, a half a game ahead of Tampa. So the 3 wild cards are all within a game of one another. Angels shut out the Royals 4-0. Where are we going? Oh, yeah, LIV, Bubba Watson. He's going to join it. He's going to play for them Labor Day weekend in Boston. And he's also going to be named one of the 12 captains. They're really pushing this team thing. Be interesting to see if this works. LIV is also expanding next year. They're going to play 14 events. They're playing just 8 this year, giving away over $400 million in purses and prizes. We'll see if this works. They're going big, that's for sure. And reportedly, the United States government is offering convicted Russian arms dealer Victor Bout to try to get Paul Whelan, who's been held for 4.5 years, and Brittany Griner, who's been held for 6 months, back from captivity.
It's a 2-for-1 trade. No draft picks are being talked about or cash considerations.
Don't know.
Sorry, I'm just treating this the same way all the sports outlets are right now.
Yes, and if you haven't seen it, it's being listed kind of like the Yankees acquisition of Benintendi for 3 minor league pitchers. I mean, if you were to go a little further, and if we were to bring in, the baseball expert from your media outlet of choice, they would say Bout's really going to be a big stick in the middle of the Russian lineup, while Whelan and Griner, Griner is a frontline starter, and Whelan is just a quality bat. So both teams hoping it's a win-win. That's the Tim Kirchin breakdown of the trade. And by the way, one final baseball note. Mark, I don't want to say we're getting old, but Adam Wainwright struck out Craig Biggio. And last night he struck out his son twice.
Wow. Wow.
Wainwright is a rookie, struck out Biggio, and 16 years later strikes out his kid twice.
That's amazing.
And that was
the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
We'll come up with a poll question here. Felipe's got one, David. He's been pressing this for a couple of days.
Uh-oh.
He's asked us during commercial breaks. He thinks it's the poll question. I will probably give it to him because I'm too lazy to come up with one myself. And if this doesn't work, we can beat him up a little bit over it.
Okay.
But he's as focused on the Mega Millions as you are, and he's already spending the money. I'll tell you what he wants to spend it on the other side. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. That's floridasportsnetwork.com for the Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, but KW, here's where Belichick's so tricky. If the Lions tried to protest, he would go, well, I didn't name any coordinators on the defensive side either. So this isn't to stick it to you, so you have to keep paying my buddy here. I did the same thing on the defensive side, so I'm running my team the way I want to run it. You run your team the way you want to run yours. I don't know about you, Mark. I hate say we get signed for, 5 years, 15 million, and they fire us after year 3. And so they owe us over the next 2 years, they owe us $6 million. In sports all the time, they go, yeah, I owe you $6 million, unless, of course, you get a job. Then, we get to deduct what you're making from what we owe you. And I always think that's BS.
It's the double dip.
Yeah, well, but you fired the person. There's no guarantee they're going to get another job. And, to me, the two should always be unrelated. We made a business deal. You decided to end it and pay me to go away. Now I'm going to go on with my life. Tough. If I was ever in that position, they'd be like, we'd like to work out an exit arrangement. The exit arrangement would be, yeah, you pay me.
Yep. I always thought that was the way that it worked. I didn't realize that it didn't. I'd always been under the impression that that's how it worked.
Yeah, a lot. And it's not always the case, but in a lot of the cases in major college and pro sports, they work it out where they take your next job's salary and they deduct it from what they're now paying you off. I think that's BS.
I still want my $900.
That'll be some negotiation if that thing ever comes to pass again. And be like,
you don't understand. I'll sit there with that piece of equipment that I still have and say, I'll give you this back when you write 2 checks.
I could see us sitting there going, no, Marty, the deal's not done yet. No, we got one final thing we got to work out.
Right. A couple of things. An apology would be nice too.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Well, then we might as well stay put.
10 seconds.
We didn't get one here, did we?
Didn't ask for one.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this final Thursday of July. Thanks so much for being with us. 7 days away from the Hall of Fame game, 14 days away from the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com and sign up for that. It's a unique event. You're not going to get it anywhere else. And quite frankly, it's a pretty darn good event. I mean, hell, we're trying to make you money and at the very least have more fun and playing fantasy football. And we'll even feed you. I mean, come on now. What more are you looking for? What radio station's doing that for you? Huh? 30 days away from week 0, 35 days away, 5 weeks today. Pitt, West Virginia gets week 1 in the 5-day extravaganza of college football started. And 6 weeks tonight, Bills and Rams at SoFi, baby. Let's go.
And tomorrow, either David, Felipe, or myself will become a billionaire based on the excitement of this show regarding the Mega Millions, now Mega Billions drawing. And Felipe's been all for 3 days. He's asked us this question over and over and over again. And I said, what about poll question? Hey, what about the jet versus the yacht? So you know what? We're going to give him his jet versus yacht question because I've got nothing else. I think if you won the Mega Billions, what would you buy? A yacht or a jet?
Huh.
That's our question.
Okay.
I can tell your excitement over there, David, is off the charts.
The only thing I was thinking, Felipe, is there a viable third choice? That's all.
No. For this one specifically, no, because I think it's a tough one because you said jet and Mark said yacht a couple days ago, and each have their own particular reasons of choice.
Right.
One floats, one flies.
Now, Mark did say I would get one so big I could land my helicopter on it. So he kind of looked at me like, I'm gonna be able to do what you do. A little slower, not as nice, but I'm gonna be able to do what you do, and I'm still gonna have what I can do. So, all right. So what are you buying?
What are you buying, the jet or the yacht? That's the poll question of today because we're all winning. We're all going to be billionaires come tomorrow.
No, we're not.
Exactly.
But, it'd be awesome if one of us were. And I don't even have to be someone associated with the show. I think I don't know about you, Mark. We have received numerous tweets and texts and comments in the Twitch chat room. Maybe it's because the money is so damn much, but we have had many people say, guys, I am willing to become a major sponsor of Miller and Moulton if I win the Mega Billions.
That would be fantastic. I'll work as long as I have to work if someone's sponsoring this show, David. You know that.
Right.
All about sponsors.
So, I mean, there is a benefit. Even if we don't win, we could still make out okay. We just need somebody either in our Twitch chat room or in our audience to, and they got to go through with what you promise. I mean, it's real easy to say a day or two beforehand, hey, I would do this, and then you win it. Got to remember, a lot of people are going to be coming after you with their hand out. We're not. We're just going to sit here quietly and say, hey, you were the one that made the offer. So what do you say? Huh? So we'll see, Mark. There's multiple ways we could benefit here, either directly or indirectly. That's all
Absolutely.
I'm saying.
On that note, I'll tell you what, the text line's 21,000. The keyword's FSN Radio. If you want to sponsor Miller or Moulton, or both Miller and Moulton, drop us a line. I'll have lunch with you today and we'll work it out. I mean, if it's that easy, I'll take care of it this afternoon, David. You can go, do some research and I'll sell a sponsorship on your back.
I mean, heck, listen, we could rename the show after you. I mean, we could treat this show like a college, athletic department.
100%.
Rename stadiums, courts, you name it. I mean, you want this to be the, whatever, Paul Bunyan show. Great. Fantastic. I'm Paul and I'm Bunyan. Whatever.
Hey, I'll wear maize and blue every day for the rest of my life if I have to, if that's what it takes. Okay.
Hold on. Felipe saved this tape. All right. This one. Come on now. I mean, you got to draw the line somewhere. I don't even think I'd let you do that.
I didn't say I was going to wear Notre Dame stuff.
I understand that's the very end. I know if you ever say something like that, I need to take you to see a mental health professional. All right. So I understand that. But just
that's what I've been working through with my mental health professional. How can I wear Notre Dame and Michigan gear without having it bother me so much? Spending lots of money just to get through that all by myself, David.
Well, talking helps.
It does.
It really does. So, well, and it's college football season. That's why it's on Mark's mind. Did you hear, by the way, speaking of maize and blue, did you hear what Ryan Day had to say yesterday? In which he was taking quite the shot at the maize and blue. He's had a little bit of time to think about after losing his first game to the maize and blue as to how it was he was going to counteract that. And I got to admit, it was a straight right hand. It was good. It was right on the chin. I don't think it was a knockdown, but it was a stop your opponent right in their tracks and make them think, "Woo, wow, that was good." Got to give him credit there. That one, I felt that one. So the Ohio State coach was at Big Ten Media Days yesterday, and he was asked about, what are your goals this year? And he goes, yeah, our goal is to win every damn game. All right. And anything less, quite frankly, we're not going to be happy with. And he could have stopped there, right, Mark?
Absolutely.
I mean, that would have been fine. That was good. That was solid. We got a really good team this year. We think we should beat everybody type of deal. You could have just stopped right there. There was really no need to go any further.
But he did.
Yes, he did, Mark. Do you have the quote?
I don't have it in front of me. I was trying to dig for it. And
all right. Here's the quote. He said, our goal is to win every game. We think we're really good this year, and we think we should win every game and win a national championship. That's our goal. All right. At some schools, going 11-2 and winning the Rose Bowl is a really good year. Not here. There we go. Game on. All righty then. Good to see that loss hasn't bothered him at all.
No. Hasn't heard about it from anybody.
No.
When they had won,
812 in a row.
In a row, exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. Good to see that he could just take that defeat in stride and and if by chance you're not able to do the mathematical equation, the 11-2 team from last year that won the Rose Bowl is Michigan. See? And he's right. They celebrated that season hard.
They did.
In fact, Michigan fans still feeling pretty damn good about it.
They are. I mean, he embellished a little bit because obviously they didn't, they went down to the Orange Bowl and got whooped.
Right. Well, but that's why, 11-2.
Oh, I know.
Right.
In the Big Ten Rose Bowl tradition. So he got all that in, got to cover all the bases, make sure everybody understood exactly what it was that he was talking about.
Exactly.
But I don't even think it was a right hand. That was a combo.
Okay. Boom, boom.
That was it. It might have been two jabs and one straight right. Just, those fighters that could throw the two quick jabs together just to keep you off your balance.
Yep.
And then hit you hard with the right. I thought it was a little more than one punch. I thought it was a combo.
Little Floyd Mayweather action there from Ryan Day, able to go quick with the double jab. And then, you know what? I think the right's open. Boom! The 11-2 double jab, Rose Bowl, boom. At some schools, going 11-2 and winning the Rose Bowl is a good year. Not here.
It does point out, however, there is a lot of truth to what Ryan Day said. Because you and I have been talking about this. Who is the team that's going to ever present Ohio State with a year after year challenge? Because right now, the rest of the Big Ten, David, is an 11-2 team that won the Rose Bowl. Those are great years for those schools.
Well, it's true. I mean, Michigan, when they won the Big Ten and won the Rose Bowl, they got whooped in the semis. Now, I mean, Michigan didn't win the Rose Bowl. They didn't play in the Rose Bowl, but you get the point. They won the Big Ten championship. But when Michigan State won the Big Ten and won the Big Ten championship and made the playoff, they got whooped in the semis.
Right. And when Ohio State does that, it's not a good season for them.
Right. Because remember the one year that they went 11-1 and didn't play in the Big Ten championship game, and they made the playoff, and they got shut out by Clemson in the semifinal, like 26-0 or something like that. And it was considered a bad season. They went 11-2.
Which is what they went last year, right?
Well, it depends. Did they yeah, it sounds about right. I have to get my Phil Steele book out here, but it sounds about right. Yeah, they came from behind to win the bowl game.
And, well, that's not good enough for Ohio State.
Right.
They're the one Big Ten team that doesn't care about the Rose Bowl anymore. Everybody else still holds it in high regard. Ohio State looks at it as a consolation prize.
Now, there are those that are thinking that he was talking about his team last year because they went 11-2 and won the Rose Bowl. All right. I have to admit, Miller and Moulton took it as he was talking about Michigan. Okay. Yeah, they were in the Rose Bowl and, but Michigan won the Big Ten. Usually when you're in the Rose Bowl, you're in the Rose Bowl because you won the Big Ten. Okay. We both took it as he was talking about Michigan. He could have been referencing his team. That's not how most people took it, though. It's a good line, though. It's a good line. I mean, when you actually have to debate who it is he's talking about, it's a good line.
Miller and Moulton. Reminder, Fantasy Football Summit coming up in a couple of weeks. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up. floridasportsnetwork.com. It's August 11th, $35. Dr. Roto, dinner, drinks, Miller and Moulton, all at Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe. floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. That's floridasportsnetwork.com for the Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts.
FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I got a little something here, David.
Okay.
Centers around the main theme of the show, the Mega Millions. Hey, you started it.
Mark, it's the last week of July.
I'm aware.
Football is nigh. You know, I've always wondered what those lucky numbers on the backs of those fortune cookie things, papers were about. I wonder if anyone's won the lottery because of them. We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You go there to answer our poll question. You go there also to sign up for the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with Dr. Roto 2 weeks tonight in Fort Myers at Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe. We'll talk a little Dolphins coming up in less than 20 minutes' time.
Man, the expectations are getting high for the Miami Dolphins.
Good.
Every time, you pointed out the roster thing. Every time someone puts out a receiver list, Miami's high on it. Their skill positions are as good as they've ever been. Ton of pressure on Tua this year.
Yep.
They've got to take the next step. But the expectations are equaling the pressure on Tua right now, because it certainly seems that the vibe is, David, that the Miami Dolphins are going to be a pretty good football team. I don't know if they are or not, but that seems to be, and I know that's the vibe for everybody in training camp. I get it. But I just think the Dolphins' expectations are being set a little higher. Let's see what happens.
Well, they've had back-to-back winning seasons. They have not been a bad team the last 2 years. They have not been as mediocre to below average as the Dolphins have been for much of this century. The last two teams were not the 6-10, 7-9 rut that the Dolphins have been in for much of the last 15 years. I mean, they played games at the end of the season in each of the last 2 years in which they had their playoff destiny in their hands. So with the additions that they've made, why shouldn't they take the next step?
It's really easy why they should or shouldn't. It's all on Tua. There is no doubt at this point. They've given him the weapons. They've fortified as much of the offensive line as they could, and now it's going to be on the quarterback to help this team take the next step.
And like Adam in our Twitch chat room taking a shot at the Dolphins. They lost to Urban Meyer last year. Yeah, so did the Buffalo Bills. The Raiders lost to the Giants. I mean, it's the NFL. This stuff happens. When you have really good years, you make sure it doesn't happen. Remember, the Colts lost to the Jags last year, cost them a playoff spot. The Dolphins lost to the Jags, cost them a playoff spot. The Bills lost to the Jags, cost them at least home field in the divisional round against the Chiefs, and maybe home field in the AFC. Those bad losses come back and bite you. That's called the National Football League.
But David started the show today talking about the Mega Millions jackpot. He can't get it off of his brain. He's buying tickets everywhere he can. He drove to Jacksonville, stopped at every podunk town that he could in Florida to buy a ticket yesterday. He's 47 tickets for Friday, a Popka. I mean, you name it. If there was a small town, he stopped. But I ask you this question, David.
Uh-huh.
Todd Graves is the founder of a company called Raising Cane. And on Tuesday, he purchased $100,000 worth of Mega Millions tickets for his 50,000 employees.
Wow.
Is that a cool boss move, or is that a waste of money? Because think about it. That's $2 an employee. That's basically a ticketed employee.
Right.
So to walk around and have every employee $2, that's a waste of money.
Some
Correct.
might say it's a boss man move.
Hey, look at him. See what he
Feeling
did there?
it today.
He is.
Used his poll question, and he's just chiming in.
I'm not in the studio. He's wondering why that second camera is not on him.
I can give you a lot of reasons, but right now we'll just stick to the show.
I think that's a boss move.
I think so.
I think that's awesome because then he's saying, hey, listen, one of these tickets comes through, we're split. You are all splitting the money.
So how many of you bosses listening today are going to pull this boss move? In fact, you should stop right now on your way to work, multiply your employees by 2, and drop the money on lotto tickets. Walk in and say, gang, we're all in this together.
Now, is it okay if every boss who's listening goes with the same dollar per employee ratio, or do they have to do better?
No, that's what I said. 100%, David. However many employees you have. 10 employees?
10 tickets.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're spending 20. You got 10 employees, you're spending $20.
You might want to spend a little more if you've got 10 employees. You might want to look like a boss move and spend $100.
Well, but see, that's what I'm saying because, his ratio, it sounds big, but he really bought every employee a ticket.
He did.
Right. And employee number 34,697 could go, hey, those were my numbers. I don't need to share it with everybody here, do I?
Don't think it works that way, but I like your will there, David. I do like how you've managed to make this about you.
Well, it wasn't about me specifically.
I know it was about employee number 34,176. I think it was.
34,697. I mean, you could walk in there and you go, hey, whose ticket was that?
Which one's mine?
You sure that wasn't my ticket?
If anybody is wondering why Miller and Moulton have lost so many jobs, this segment perfectly exemplifies what has happened in our careers. So text me, and don't text David. Text me if you're a boss that's going to do that today, because I'll tell you you're a cool boss. Moulton will want to know which ticket's his.
Okay. For the record, my math could be off, but he's got 50,000 employees, right?
Right.
Okay. If they win the billion, it's 20,000 an employee, I believe is the math.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying that, this isn't the 18, firemen in,
No, this is 50,000 employees. Yes.
Right. This aren't the 18 firemen who get together in Wapaton, North Dakota and, pool resources and buy tickets, and now they're going to divvy it up amongst them. I mean, this is $1 billion that's divided by 50,000 employees.
Right.
I think that's 20,000, and that's before taxes split it in half. So basically everybody would walk away with 10 G's. That's still a pretty, don't get me wrong. That's a pretty cool Friday.
I would think it would do wonders for office morale. You right there have taken the other approach and going, it's only 10 grand after taxes.
I never said the word only. I never said the word only. You could listen to the tape, play back the tape. Never said the word only. Was not implying it. Was just simply doing the math.
And you seem like you're a little upset about the amount of money you're getting for not having to spend any.
Not upset at all. Okay, I'm pointing out, A, what a cool boss he is, but B, you probably have to show back up to work on Monday.
Is he a cool boss, or is he just wasting money? That's the question we ask you. David thinks he's a cool boss, kinda.
Oh, no, definitely a cool boss. Okay, it's perfect because think about what he did for him. Wow, what a cool boss. But every single one of those workers has to keep showing back up at work. And now they'll do it with a smile on their face. And he certainly doesn't have to give Christmas bonuses or raises at the end of the year, right?
Oh, for sure. He's laid the gauntlet down on Christmas bonuses. If he's throwing $100K down, every employee's got to be getting something. This company obviously does very well. If he's just forking over $100,000 to buy lotto tickets on a Tuesday.
By the way, did he farm that assignment out? Who was it? And did they go to like the local Circle K or 7-Eleven and do this? Yeah, I need some quick picks. How many? 50,000. Excuse me. What? Yeah. No. I'll wait.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The Arthrex Bowl.
I will say, though, it's a nice. I am looking forward to going. That's their audition for the Pac-12 right there. Hops, I'm honestly wondering how it is you buy 50,000 lottery tickets. I mean, do you like call up lottery headquarters? I mean, because if you I mean, what are you gonna do? Show up at a convenience store and say I need 50,000 quick picks?
Send 100 people with $100 each to different stores.
Right.
That would be.
They are gray. They are very Very plain and very gray.
Wow, the old guys on the Hall of Fame class there, that's a pretty tough. I don't know how they're going to.
You talking the NFL?
The senior vote, yeah.
Yeah, we could do a segment in the 8 o'clock hour. That's a, oof.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they only take 2 of those, right?
Is it 2 or 3?
3?
I don't know. I thought I saw 3, but.
Oh, it's 3 seniors. Yes, 3 seniors. Okay.
But still, I mean, what's it, 13? And you see the list and you think they all should be in. Well, Mark, I mean, we were on this 15 years ago. This is, if you think about it, when they narrow it down to 15 every year, we think 12 or 13 of them are Hall of Famers, and they put in 5.
Right. Is that all they gave us yesterday? It was the seniors, right? There's no other Hall of Fame list that came out with that, was there?
No, that's because this is a special vote that takes place in like 3 weeks. It's like August 16th or something like that they vote. Baseball has theirs too, which is, and they don't meet every year. So the people they're considering now, they don't consider again for another at least 2 years. And
yeah, it's like every 3 years, right? Don't they do like the old guys and then the contributors and then some other?
Right. Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right, we're coming back from commercial break now.
Cool.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Go there and answer our poll question, floridasportsnetwork.com. So you win Mega Millions. You're buying a plane or a yacht. And while you're there, sign up for our Fantasy Football Summit 2 weeks tonight with Dr. Roto. Mike Masala's got a good gig. He covers the Dolphins for Dolphins Wire, which is part of the USA Today network. You can follow Mike on Twitter. It's pretty easy. Mike_Masala, M-A-S-A-L-A. Mike, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this again. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. The start of the new season, it's feeling great.
Well, in our first question, it's hard hitting. Were you part of the group picture yesterday?
Unfortunately, I'm not. Right now, I'm actually living up in Boston, so I'm not able to be down in the facility to check out everything that's going on down there. But big change from what we would have seen last season if that question was asked to the head coach.
No doubt, no doubt. Mike, are the expectations high enough? I mean, are they too high for this Miami team? They went out and spent some money on free agency. This is the most weapons they've had that we can think of in quite some time. Are the expectations set too high, or are they actually right where they should be?
I think they're around where they should be. I've been hearing a lot of people saying 10, 11 wins is kind of what people are expecting for this team. And whether or not that gets you into the playoffs is, I guess, a different conversation considering how strong the AFC has gotten this offseason. But there are definitely still a ton of questions with this team, and chief among them, the offensive line. We were hearing yesterday that there was some struggles in practice with maybe some center quarterback communication issues, getting some defensive players blocked up. That was a little bit of an issue again yesterday. It is only the first day, and it's also without pads and also with some limited reps for some certain offensive linemen. So it is. There are still some questions there, and obviously the big question with how Tua Tagovailoa is going to perform this year with new weapons, a new offensive line, and an offensive-minded head coach. I think there's a lot of things up in the air right now. But if they play to the way that all of their talent looks like they're able to play, that should be a reasonable goal, is that 10-win mark at least. And like I said, I'm not sure if that gets you into the postseason right now. It looks like that's going to keep you right around that wild card conversation. But I think that's where they should be.
I mean, Mike, they won 9 games last year. They won 10 the year before, and we'd all agree they're a better team, quote unquote, on paper than they were each of the last 2 years. They're certainly a better roster. I mean, Mike, at some point, isn't it okay to have some pressure and some expectations? I think it's time.
Absolutely. This is the start of that time, and like you said, this is the best Dolphins roster maybe that you might have seen in 20 so years. This is a team that should be out there competing. I just know that in a first year with a new head coach, you don't really know exactly what he's going to show, and is he going to live up to those expectations? We've seen Tua Tagovailoa struggles in his career to this point, and I also know that the schedule is a little bit harder than it was last year. And I think with all of those factors, I think that's why I'm sitting around that 10-8 mark. But you win a couple games that you're not supposed to. Maybe the Packers, you play the Packers with Aaron Rodgers without his weapons. I know he said that Alan Lazard is a Hall of Famer yesterday, kind of shooting back at Adams. But maybe you steal a game from them, you steal a game from Buffalo here and there. Things could change, but I think right now I'm still hovering around that 10-win mark for me.
Mike, how concerned are you with their offensive line? I know they've made improvements, but it's still, to me, it's obviously the weakest part of their offense if we're going to leave Tua out of it because we don't know where his growth will be this year. Just how concerned are you about that O-line?
I'm definitely still a little concerned. A lot of people were pleasantly surprised and really happy with that, with the moves, bringing in Teron Armstead and Connor Williams, and I was as well. Moving Williams to center, which is what has been talked about throughout mini camps and OTAs. That was a little bit of a surprise to me. I think, in my honest opinion, I think your best line is Armstead, Williams, Dieter, Hunt, and then some combination of either Jackson or Eichenberg at the right tackle. The problem is they've spent such high capital on these young offensive linemen. They want to see what they have. And I get that, but at the same time, at what point are you putting yourself in a dangerous position where you are hurting your team more than the good you're doing by seeing what you have? And again, first practice, training camp, they're just back in the building, not wearing pads. But from everything everybody said yesterday, Jalen Phillips is blowing things up. Christian Wilkins is blowing things up. These are good, solid players in the league, but are they the elites of the elites? I'm not sure. When you go against the elites of the elites, are they going to be able to hold up? Is Teron Armstead going to be able to stay healthy this whole season? That's another question that's big on people's minds. And then again, Eichenberg, Jackson, it's going to be. I feel like at the end of the day, having one of those guys on the offensive line is best for the team.
Well, you're right. The Dolphins, much like the Falcons in recent years, have spent a ton of resources on the offensive line, and either they pick the wrong players or they put them in the wrong scheme or they haven't been coached well, whatever the question. But, two organizations that have struggled mightily on the offensive line, but it's not because they haven't spent enough draft picks on it. And so now they went the free agency route this year. Mike Masala covers the Dolphins for the Dolphins Wire. You can follow Mike on Twitter at Mike_Masala. A friend of the show, Pat Kerwin of NFL Radio, says once you go the franchise tag, that's the beginning of a divorce. Do you get that sense with the Dolphins and Gesicki?
I think it was a smart move from the Dolphins' perspective. Obviously, Mike McDaniel's offense is heavily predicated on using an inline tight end, and Mike Gesicki's not that guy. So you give him a year to see if he can fit into that mold, or see what you can do with him in another position, that big slot or tight end / receiver role. See what you can do there. If he succeeds, then you have to pay him top of the market. You're not going to get a discount now after franchise tagging him and kind of letting him forego that that decision of protection from injury, giving him that long-term deal. Now you're going to have to pay him one of the top of the market guys. I think if I were to see into the future right now, I don't think that he's here long-term, just because I don't think he's going to be end up fitting into that role the way that Mike McDaniel would like him to. And I think they probably try to find a tight end who's more suited for the McDaniel's offense.
I think the defense takes a step back. I mean, Flores was the defensive guru. It's a new coach. You've already talked about what happens in that regard. Do you think the defense takes a step back, Mike?
A lot of people have gone back and forth on who it was that was calling the plays down the stretch. We saw the defense obviously flip the switch in the second half of last year. We've heard a lot of people say that it was Flores who took over play calling. We had a lot of people say it was still Boyer taking over that role. Right now, I think if you're healthy, you should be at least very similar. I don't see a huge drop off coming. You might take a little bit of a step back. Anytime you lose an experienced defensive play caller, an experienced guy in that locker room like Brian Flores was, he was in New England for all these years under Bill Belichick. Josh Boyer's been in that similar mold. He's followed the Bill Belichick, the Brian Flores tree. So I don't think it's going to be a huge setback, maybe a little, but I think you should be right around pace to what you were last year.
Mike Masala covering the Dolphins for the Dolphins Wire. You can follow him on Twitter at Mike_Masala. Mike, thanks for your time. Safe travels. We'll do this again, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Have a good training camp.
Mike Masala, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton.
Just trying not to pull anything.
Well, right. Well, he's put himself on his own pup list.
Right.
Okay, training camp's long enough. He's like, I got to be honest, I'm not going to get there for another couple of days. You know, I'm watching video on the internet, and then, you know, once they start hitting one another, I'll be there. So, all right, here's how I break down the Dolphins schedule. I want to bore everybody by doing the schedule game, but
I love the schedule game.
I know. The first four are tough. I think even if you're feeling good about the Dolphins, I offer you 2-2 in your first four. I think you should take
Sign me up. They're going to be favored in one game out of those four.
They're home for the Patriots to start.
Where they will be favored. They will not be favored in their next three games.
They're at Baltimore, home for Buffalo, at Cincinnati. The Cincinnati game's a short week also. It's a Thursday nighter. So that's why I'm saying, you know, if you're going to have a playoff year, remember, this is the AFC, you got to figure 10 minimum. And then it's got to be the right 10 probably.
Probably. But after Cincinnati, there's a run here of 5 games, of which, quite frankly, you're probably going to need to win a minimum of 4.
It's a good run, and I can even extend the run. But so week 5 at the Jets. Now, remember, you've swept the Jets each of the last 2 years. Now, granted, this Jets team should be the best of the 3. But at the Jets, home for the Vikings, home for the Steelers. Not saying it's easy. They're a tough win. They're very good defensively. That'll be the Minkah Fitzpatrick game. Okay. But at Detroit, not going to be easy. Lions have a lot more talent than you think. Then at the Bears, home for Cleveland. Now it's week 10.
No idea what you're getting there.
Right. Who's going to be quarterback in the Browns week 10? Then your bye week.
All right. So in that stretch there, David, because we already had the first 4 where, hey, if they're doing great, they're 2-2. Now you got 6 in there, of which, David, I could argue they're going to be favored in 5 of those 6 games.
Correct.
I'd say it's a pretty tough schedule. I mean,
it is a tough schedule, but they're going to be favored in 5 of 6 games. So if you give them all the games they're favored in,
okay,
and even if they're 1-3 off the hop, we're still talking about 6-4 at the bye.
And then they come out of the bye by hosting the Texans. So if we're just going by games they're favored in, they'd be 7-4. Now, it's tough the rest of the way.
Well, it's not just tough. It's ridiculously tough because they play 3 good teams consecutively all on the road. At San Francisco, at the LA Chargers, and at Buffalo.
This makes you think. It makes you think about the AFC wildcard race this year. It'll be a war.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I mean, but you got to remember, it's this way for everybody. I mean, imagine trying to win 10 games in the AFC West. I mean, first off, going 3-3 in your division's a good year.
Right.
Okay, then obviously the Dolphins are on the schedule here for, the Chargers at the very least. I mean, listen, there 16 teams in the AFC. There are 3 bad ones. That's it. Jets, Jags, Texans. Everybody else thinks they're a playoff team.
And two out of those 3 teams got better this year than last year.
Right. I could argue all 3.
I would argue all 3 got better. But so now you've got Houston. They get you to 7. Realistically, you're going to be an underdog in all of those games. Maybe if everything goes horribly wrong in San Francisco.
So at Niners, at Chargers, at Bills, let's just say you get one of them. You're 8-6. You're coming home for the Packers. You're going to New England, and you're home for the Jets. Are you really thinking you're sweeping? Now, you did it last year. You swept the Patriots. You swept the Jets. If you were to do that again, playing the schedule game that we just played, you'd go 11-6. If you lose one game to the Patriots or Jets, you're doing no better than 10-7 in the schedule game.
And David's being generous because he's got you winning one of those 3 games on the road, of which you're all going to be an underdog.
Right. I'm giving you one.
And I think that because that put them to 8-6, that means you're to the 11. You're giving them Green Bay as well at home. That's a hell of a stretch. So it's a tough schedule. I'd hate the 3 consecutive road games late in the season.
To get you to 11, you have to sweep the Patriots and Jets and win 2 games you're an underdog in elsewhere. Because we're giving you one of the 3-game roadie in December, where right now on paper you'd be an underdog in all 3. And I just gave you a Christmas present on Christmas Day. You beat the Packers at home.
Miller and Moulton, halfway home on a Thursday. In fact, it's the final one in July. Just ask David. Back with more on the other side. We thank you so very much for listening to Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. That's floridasportsnetwork.com for the Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
All right, so do you have this list, David? Am I seeing this right, that there's 24 between seniors and coaches and contributors?
And only 4 get in, 3 seniors and 1 coach contributor.
Okay, all right.
You should see the full list that they actually, this is what they narrowed it down to.
Wow, I've got the full list in front of me. Holy cow.
$15 seconds.
Schottenheimer didn't make it. I mean, think, right? He's on the semifinal list and is not a finalist.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour for those of you in Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City and surrounding areas, and Port Charlotte and Venice. We are halfway home for those of you in Southwest Florida. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. This is a topic that Miller and Moulton have been on more than most for the last 15 years. I'm the Hall of Fame guy on the show. I'm into any and all Hall of Fames. But Mark is every bit as excited about this topic because, well, the list of people that make it to be semi-finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, that list is probably the most impressive list of all the Halls of Fame when they narrow it down to like 50, 35, 25 guys. You literally look at the semi-finalist list and you're like, wow, these guys are unbelievable. Then they knock that down to like 12 to 15. And literally, we're left with our mouths agape like, you mean I have to cut these guys? You mean we're actually going to say no to some of these guys? And so we're at that point again with the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
And this isn't even the Pro Football Hall of Fame regular vote. This is the contributors and the seniors. And they just got done putting in, what, 20? How many seniors did they put in, David? 25?
I thought in 2020, didn't they put in 20?
They put in 20.
They went with the big, it was either 2019 or 2020. They went with the jumbo class. They said, listen, we've got too much of a backlog and we got to take care of some things. But
yeah, we've got to right a few wrongs, basically, is what they did. Without using those words, they had to right a few wrongs because there were too many all-decade team members that weren't in the Hall of Fame.
Right. And they came to that conclusion, which they said, that's a bad look for us. If you think about it, you're the best player at your position for a decade and you can't make the Hall of Fame. That's a bad look. So they tried to put in all the people who were first team, all pro, all decade, and they still didn't get everybody in, by the way. Like Drew Pearson didn't get in the big class. He had to wait another year. So, but that's just when they elect, 5. They narrow it down to like 8, 9, and they cut it to 5. But then you got the seniors and you got the coach contributor. And that's usually you get 3 seniors and 1 coach contributor. So now they can put in up to 9 per year. And that's what they're considering now. Oh, well, actually, next month, August, is the month in which they're going to decide basically the 3 seniors and the 1 coach contributor that gets in, because you pretty much get rubber stamped in January.
I'm looking at the coach contributor category here, David, and they're only going to take 1 of these. You've got Art Modell, who I don't think will be the one, Rune Artledge, Don Coryell, Mike Holmgren, Frank Kilroy, Robert Kraft, Buddy Parker, Dan Reeves, Art Rooney Jr., Mike Shanahan, Clark Shaughnessy, and John Wooten. 1 gets in out of that group.
By the way, some of the guys who didn't make the cut, one of them was Marty Schottenheimer. He won over 200 games as a head coach. He's top 10 all-time in wins. didn't make the cut from semifinalist to finalist. Marty Schottenheimer. Okay, for me, I would narrow this down to 3 people, to be honest. I would narrow it down to Dan Reeves, Don Coryell, and Roone Arledge. And for as much as, first, because I think with Dan Reeves, you also have to realize he was a good player too. I don't know why I think he's a Hall of Fame coach, but he also was a good player. So doesn't that help?
No, because that's not what. Well, it doesn't, David, because it has nothing to do with what they're voting on. I will actually argue with you on that one. Not argue, but you know what I mean.
I know.
Because this is in a different category. He was not a Hall of Fame player. So when we take his candidacy as a coach, we can't take the player part of it in. We just can't.
Right. Took 3 different teams to the playoffs, took 2 to the Super Bowl. Never won the Super Bowl as a head coach, won it as an assistant with Landry in Dallas, also won it as a player. Don Coryell, I think, changed football.
That's where my vote would go out of this list, is Don Coryell, because of what you just said, David. He changed football.
And this may be a crass way of phrasing this question, but Mark, who made a bigger impact on the NFL, Don Coryell or Roone Arledge?
No,
I mean, you could argue that football on the field would have gotten to where it is now without Don Coryell. It would have taken longer, but I think they'd be where they are. I don't know if the NFL gets to where, who had a bigger impact on the NFL, Don Coryell or Monday Night Football?
Monday Night Football. And Monday Night Football in the 70s.
When
it
the
was
NFL
the number
was
one show that there was in the land.
And the NFL was a distant second to Major League Baseball before Monday Night Football. A distant second. So I'd
Wins could still going in when you put Roone in.
For as much as I want Don Coryell and Dan Reeves to be in the Hall of Fame and Marty Schottenheimer, I'd vote Arledge.
And by the way, I think the name on here that has no shot is Robert Kraft, given what's going on just up the road in Cleveland.
Timing.
Yes. He'll get there one day as a contributor. Yeah. He will get there.
Yes. Well, if Jerry's in, Kraft's definitely going.
Right.
So,
but that's the contributors.
Right. And there's 12 finalists, only 1 gets in. That's, not good odds. That's for sure. So
the players, senior finalist Ken Anderson, Maxie Baughan, Randy Gradishire, Chuck Howley, Cecil Isbell, Joe Klecko, Bob Kuchenberg, Eddie Metter, Tommy Nobis, Ken Riley, Sterling Sharp, Everson Walls are the 12 finalists.
By the way, some of the players who did not make it: Mark Clayton, Roger Craig, Lester Hayes, Joe Jacoby, Billy White Shoes Johnson, Mark, someone you know, Mike Ken of the Falcons, Jim Marshall of the Purple People Eaters fame, Clay Matthews Jr. All right. And Otis Taylor, the big wideout on the Chiefs teams. And he scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl IV win for the Chiefs.
I know there's a lot of steam for Ken Anderson, David. And a lot of people have been taking up his cause the last couple of years on this veterans thing.
Yes.
But, Cooch, we thought was a Hall of Famer when he was on the list several times.
Yeah, that's a soft spot for me. I've written, when I was a columnist, I wrote at least 2 columns going, how in the world is Bob Kuchenberg not in the Hall of Fame? He's very much the offensive lineman's version of Joe Klecko. Klecko was a Pro Bowler at 3 different positions. Kuchenberg played all 3 positions, was a Pro Bowler at 2 of them. He did it as a run-blocking offensive lineman and then did it as a pass-blocking offensive lineman, one with Greasy and one with Marino. I think Bob Kuchenberg should be in the Hall of Fame. I do. And Mark, the irony for me is while Ken Anderson in the room is going to get far more support, the Bengal named Ken that I think should be in is Ken Riley. 65 interceptions. 65. He played 15 years, the whole decade of the 70s and the first few years of the 80s. 65 interceptions. Ask Lynn Swann and John Stallworth about lining up against Ken Riley twice a year. 65. That's like top 5 all time in an era when they didn't throw the ball. And unfortunately, he died a couple of years ago. And I think he's going to get in one day, but it's a bummer to say the least that he did not get in while he was alive.
So that's just the list of the seniors and the contributors. And this is why I'm into this Hall of Fame, because this to me is the hardest to get in. There are so many qualified players, contributors, coaches that come up for this every year. And every year they have to tell 5 to 10 people who are Hall of Famers in my eyes that you're not in again.
I mean, Sterling Sharp, the better of the 2 Sharp brothers. And Shannon will tell you, because he did. And he still does. Career cut short by injury.
Text numbers 21,000. FSN Radio is the keyword. Your thoughts on this or anything else we've discussed on the show today. Text line has been hot and heavy most of the day today, David. People starting to give us their Dolphins after we went through the Dolphin schedule. People starting to give us those Dolphin numbers.
Uh-oh. Curious, what's the highest number? What's the lowest number you've seen?
I've seen anywhere from 11 wins to 7 wins.
Okay. All right. CBW in our Twitch chat room. How is Joe Jacoby not in already? Huh. I'm with you. I thought he was the best hog, to be honest. Chuck Howley, by the way, the only player, I believe, from a losing team in the Super Bowl to win MVP in Super Bowl 5. And needless to say, in the New York metropolitan area, they've been pounding the table for Joe Klecko for a long time. And I do think it's tough to be in New York and actually be underrated and underappreciated. I could make that case with Joe Klecko, though.
So there's just some of the Hall of Famers, some of the decisions that will be made here in the next couple of weeks on the veterans and on the coaching and contributors categories for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We thank you for listening, Miller and Moulton, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again,
FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I got odds on the first coach to get fired this year.
NFL?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
All right. Let me all right. I'm guessing the top two, or should I wait for on air? I'll
Wait for on air.
I'll wait for on air.
And Felipe, it's Soldier Boy's birthday today, in case you were wondering.
Hey, Soldier Boy, tell.
Did you see who was performing at the LIV party?
Nelly, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the Astros and the Yankees got swept. That's crazy.
Yankees just a two-gamer by the second best team in the National League, though. And in fairness to the Yankees, they threw like their number 3 and 4 starters at the Mets. The Mets threw their 2 best starters.
Yeah.
Walker's been their second best starter this year, and Scherzer's been their best.
2 nationally televised games. They want to win both of those.
Yo-Yo, the Steelers have a far better chance of going 4-13 than they do 13-4.
I thought you were telling me, Yo-Yo. I'm like, yo, what's up? What's up, Holmes? What's up, Issy? I'm almost done with Breaking Bad. It's so good. I know Hank's going to find out Walt's secret, but I'm just waiting for when.
Oh, you got a ways to go then.
Yeah. Also, Marie is crazy.
Heidi's dad, Zach Thomas, is not on the list that we talked about. The list we talked about, nobody played a game after 1996. But yes, Zach, the momentum is a case is beginning to be made for Zach Thomas.
In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he got in this year. That's that type of case.
The Canes hired him. That's a pretty interesting pickup right there. Look at your Jimbo.
Well, if they're 13-4, he is the MVP, Hops.
Yeah, really. Either that or TJ Watt is.
Or Kenny Pickett is the greatest rookie to ever play professional football.
I was going to say he and Dan Marino becomes the second best quarterback out of Pitt if they gave
He in his small hands.
I don't think I can name another Steelers wide receiver other than Deontay Johnson.
I'll say this, though. They have the best wide receivers coach in the league. They take second and third round picks for 20 years, and that guy turns them into terrific players.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't know who they are either, but I'm guessing they're all going to be pretty good. That organization and their coaching staff does a great job of picking out
Claypool's
receivers.
the other one that's good. He was pretty good last year.
Oh, I just thought of a poll question. Damn it. And it could have been good 2 days ago. Is just simple. Is Julio Jones a Hall of Famer? Yes or no? I think that he is. I think his numbers and his skill.
Well, and Felipe, that's the interesting thing going forward is everyone's wide receiver numbers are going to be obscene.
Right. You talked about this before, that they're only just going to get better, and the numbers are inflated pretty much.
Receivers, it's going to end up coming down to, I think, all pro numbers more than it's going to come down to
And
Pro Bowl.
Maybe
Or, I mean, not Pro Bowl, but
and did you get a ring?
yeah, absolutely, David. 100%.
Like Felipe, if the Falcons had beaten the Patriots,
Yes.
I think he'd be in. I really do.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, final Thursday in July. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Hall of Fame game, by the way, if you just want to see a football game, helmets and shoulder pads. A week away, 7 days. Next Thursday night, Raiders and Jags, Hall of Fame game. By the way, the following Thursday, the 11th, that's our Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with Dr. Roto. It's in Fort Myers. It's at Shoeless Joe Sports Cafe, which is part of the Crown Plaza, in and a part of Bell Tower Shops. And we got a room, holds about 50 of you, and want to put together just a nice little intimate night.
Got a text that asked, hey, this seems like it's more for the advanced fantasy. I disagree. If you're new to fantasy, old to fantasy, never played fantasy, the one thing I will tell you about Dr. Roto is that when we've done these before, he can talk to the guy who's playing in a $1,000 league just as well as he can talk to the guy that's playing in a home league, and you're going to get the same information, and it's easy to understand. The cheat sheet will help out a ton. I would actually think this is as good for the first-time fantasy person as it is for the guy who's been playing for 15 years. So whatever skill level you are from a fantasy standpoint, and I would advise, some of you who are real newbies and maybe get into a league for the first time, or maybe our female listeners who are going to join a league with their husbands, if you want to win, a great way to do it and show up everybody else around the neighborhood, household, workplace, whatever the case may be.
And ladies, basically what Mark is saying is have you come, but not your husband or boyfriend. Okay, then this way you'll know more. You'll have the cheat sheet. Don't let them see it. All right.
But memorize 3 or 4 good things off of it to keep shouting at them through the rest of the month of August. You fool! You took who?
What have I been telling you? Doesn't matter how much you love them. Come on now, this is fantasy football. This is bragging rights for 4 or 5 months here. This is important.
So still plenty of spots available. I check the sales pretty much every break and see how well Moulton's selling this thing. Looks like he's been doing good this show.
Wow. By the way, 30 days away from week 0. Hey, do you think week 0 becomes a bigger deal going forward if we expand this playoff to 12 to 16? Do you think it's possible that they have to kind of sort of start this season a little earlier, or no? Because if they started earlier, then like Ohio State, Michigan would be pre-Thanksgiving as opposed to the Saturday after it, and Alabama, Auburn would be pre-Thanksgiving instead of after it. So
I was used to Michigan State and Ohio State being pre-Thanksgiving. It was for most of my life. I mean, they actually played that game. The Big Ten season was over before Thanksgiving a lot of years. That's something that the buys didn't really happen. So that wouldn't bother me one way or another. But I keep going back to one game, and I know no one really cares about Nebraska football, but Bill Bender said it yesterday on our show. Nebraska has as important of a week 0 game as anybody has. They lose to Northwestern. They might not want him to get on the plane. He's going to. But they may not want Frost to get on the plane after that game.
Put it this way, it's a good thing the game's in Ireland if he loses, because it's such a long trip back that they're like, well, we can't leave him here. But if the game was at Northwestern and he lost, they might have just left his butt in Chicago. Say, listen, we've paid you enough money. You figure it out.
New O coordinator. They brought in a bunch of transfers. They think they're going to be a lot better. They think they're going to be a salty Big Ten West team. We'll see.
Boy, come on. I mean, those of us who listen to Florida Sports Network, I mean, there's a lot of us that would like to see Miami return to being Miami and Florida State returning to be Florida State. We want the big three in this state to be the big three. I really would. It was nice when Michigan was Michigan last year, wasn't it? And I
was.
know. I mean, you're a Spartan fan, but come on.
It
It's
doesn't
for
matter to
college
me. Michigan
football.
State beat them. I had a great year.
Right.
But,
Okay,
but no, it's better when that winged helmet is winning, David. There's no doubt.
And I would love to see Nebraska be good again. Now, I don't ever think they can be Nebraska again. But I would
Could they be Iowa?
Well, quite
Could
frankly,
they just be Iowa, David?
could they be the Bo Pelini Nebraska teams? Remember Frank Solich got fired for going 9-3. Bo Pelini got fired for going 9-3 and being a horse's butt. I mean, at this point, if you're a Nebraska fan, wouldn't you like to be 9-3 and have Scott Frost turn into a horse's butt? Wouldn't you take that?
All day long. But I'm not joking when I say if they could be Iowa, they'd be ecstatic.
Yeah.
Iowa's going for double-digit wins again this year. They seemingly do it every year. It's ugly. The offense doesn't look that good, but they get to 10 a lot of the time, David. And you know what their fan base is? Happy.
Yeah, very happy. Very happy. I mean, he survived a racial scandal and got a contract extension with a raise. I mean, I think that qualifies as very happy.
But what are they? David, what is Iowa? They know exactly who they are.
Just like Wisconsin. Yep. Know who they are. They know how they're going to go about slaying this dragon. And if they slay it, awesome. And if they come up short, well, all right. We'll try harder next year.
And the Florida Big Three all know who they want to be, but there's just a long path to get there. A long path right now. I mean, you mentioned it earlier. The Gators SEC media picked 4th on their side.
Oof.
4th.
I know. Kentucky 2nd.
And
Tennessee ahead of them.
Right. If they're right, you could see Florida starting out 1-3. Utah, Kentucky, and Tennessee all in the first 4 weeks.
In between Kentucky and Tennessee, week 3 is South Florida. So we know they're going to win that game. But if I said to a Gator fan right now, we played the schedule game with the Dolphins, Mark, and said, hey, in your first 4, if we give you 2-2, would you take it? And I know if your goal is, win 11 or more games, you're like, hell no. Well, look at the 4 you're playing. Believe it or not, Gator fans. I mean, Mark, this to me would be the perfect 2-2. And I know it's not likely, but because you'd have to lose to South Florida. But, if I give you 2-2, but one of the losses is Utah, it means you're going to beat either Kentucky or Tennessee. But most Gator fans we know, Mark, would go, no. I'll sign up for 3-1. I ain't signing up for 2-2.
Doesn't work that way, though.
I know.
Doesn't work that way. I'm telling you, the Gators, Tennessee's the road game. They have LSU coming to them this year. Obviously, Georgia in the neutral site game. They're at A&M.
At Florida State on the Friday night after Thanksgiving. Yeah, hey, man, it's life in the SEC. It's tough to have an easy schedule in the SEC. Unless you have Alabama's talent. You look at every game and you go, win, win, win.
Well,
win.
you've had an easy schedule being in the SEC East for a while. But Kentucky and Tennessee seemingly are starting to turn the corner. You're hoping to turn the corner. It'd be a really good year to let them both know that they haven't turned the corner yet.
It's painful for a Gator fan to be lumped into the same paragraph as Kentucky and Tennessee. They're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What are we in this paragraph for? We're supposed to be in the Georgia paragraph. What are we doing here? This better be the last time we're in this paragraph. I mean, it's Napier's first year. I'll let him be in this paragraph this year. All right. But after this year, we better get back in that Georgia paragraph.
Boy. We'll find out in September what paragraph you're going to be in, because you're going to find out really early, Florida Gator, what paragraph you belong in. Do you belong in the Georgia paragraph, or are you stuck in that Kentucky-Tennessee paragraph? Find out everything you need to know in September. Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. That's floridasportsnetwork.com for the Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Johnny, I'd take that bet all day long, and I'd bet you any amount of money you wanted to bet that they're not going to be 3-1. But if they beat Utah, you're on to something, because you're talking about Utah, who's experienced, has a really good offensive line against what Phil Steele calls the 36th best defensive line in the country in Florida. My fear for Florida is that their depth is not that good, and in a game like Utah, who's so physical, if they lose it and get beat up a little bit, I don't even think they could just lose it. They could lose players in a game like that.
Best thing Florida is going for them in that game. It'll be really hot and humid.
Still a night game, but yes.
And
Wish it was at noon for Florida, and I'm not joking when I say that.
And new scheme, especially since that'd be a 9 a.m. start for Utah.
Oh, yeah.
And new scheme. So maybe Florida runs some stuff that Utah's not ready for. It's a big game for Utah, though. Big game. They're going to be ranked top 10, top 12.
Well, think of the day for the Pac-12.
Yep.
Oregon playing Georgia, Utah playing Florida. What a day for that conference. I don't know who the Big Ten teams play that day. Oh, not much for USC. They've got Rice.
Look at you. Who the Big Ten teams play that day. USC's got Rice. That's
Thank you.
quality material right there.
Oregon State opens up with 2 Pac-12 opponents this year, and they might lose both. Home for Boise at Fresno.
Oh, you mean Mountain West? Or You said Pac-12 opponents.
I know.
Okay. All right.
I'm just continuing the joke.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying to catch up.
Sorry.
No, you're too fast for me, but it's good material. I'll catch up eventually. Slow and steady. I'll get there. Adam, here's my fear for Napier in Florida. And it's not this year. I'm just talking big picture. I actually think what Billy Napier wants to do and will work. But I don't know if they're going to be Georgia. That, for a generation, Florida was the measuring stick in the East. I think now it's going to be Georgia. From Spurrier in 1990 to Urban, and his last year was 2010. For those 20 years, the measuring stick in the East was Florida. By the end of the 2010s, the measuring stick became Georgia, and I think it's going to be for at least the next 10 years. I think the 2020s. In fact, there's a good
2030s.
There's a good poll question. Who will play in more SEC championship games when this decade is done? Alabama or Georgia?
Where are they at right now?
Well, Bama beat Georgia last year in the 2021 SEC title game. And
Alabama beat Florida the year before? Was that the 2020? Was that the year Florida snuck in?
Yes, they beat them by 6. So Alabama's ahead 2-1 right now this decade.
Here's another fun question. What year will Alabama not play in the SEC championship game?
When was the last time that wasn't the case?
LSU in 2019.
2019, and then Auburn in 2017.
Damn.
Auburn in 2013, LSU in 2011.
Coming back.
Auburn in 2010.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes till we're out of here in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The bonus hour starts in 22 minutes in the 239. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. It's Felipe's poll question. Good, bad, or indifferent. He gets the credit or the blame.
What are you buying with $1 billion?
Right.
I will say it's a close vote right now. If you won the Mega Billions on Friday, would you buy a jet or a yacht? Yacht winning very close, 51-49.
Mark went with yacht. I went with jet. Although, as I was typing out my answer, I realized it might be a little flawed. I said jet because I fly a lot for work, and then realized, well, if I won the Mega Billions, how much work would I really have?
Here's my thought process on the matter, and I'll be quick.
Really?
I love sports. And if I have that kind of money, I'm going to fly wherever the heck I want to. So I could basically become a super fan and go to any sporting event I want to.
You want to be Marlins man, are you?
Exactly. Okay. Marlins man with a private jet. Give me a Boeing 737.
Well, you're going a little big.
I'll buy one of those.
Don't we have to do something with his hair then?
My hair?
Don't we have to, I don't know, to be
Color?
Marlins? Do something so that we can know, oh, there's that guy again at the game. Oh, well, there's that guy again. Remember the guy for 30 years, golf, he showed up at the golf tournaments. He had the rainbow fro.
And the Jesus saves.
and
Sure.
or the John
John
316 sign.
316, that's what it was. I'm sorry.
Right. But you saw him. It'd be a key shot in a golf tournament. There's Jack on 16, and now not at the Masters, mind you, but at any, it'd be like, there's the guy. He got the sign in again.
Rainbow guy with John 316. He was everywhere.
Right. So that would be Felipe. I guess that's what we have to look forward to. I mean, you know what, Mark? I'm okay if Felipe wins it. He'll give us a little something. And then, we'll see him behind home plate and, in the end zone at big games.
You'll sit courtside at the finals with me.
Wow. Whether we want to or not.
Right.
Whoa.
Wow.
Come on. That's funny. A little bit. A little funny.
All right. Behind the penalty box in the cup.
Oh, now we're talking.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
Now you're talking. Just make sure you do go with the multicolored hair. I want to make sure it stands out and people recognize the two guys sitting on either side of you. All right, you found a list, and you're into lists more so than me.
Well, the list I had was the Hall of Fame list was the one we were talking about. I don't know what list.
I was talking about guys getting fired.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I've got my coaches list here. Oddshark has the odds for the first NFL coach to be fired, David. Already out.
All right, I got two choices for number one, and I'm torn because these guys have both already been asked questions by the media covering their teams about their job security. I think if you're being asked in July about your job status when your first game isn't until the second week of September, that, people think you've got a short leash. So I'm torn between Carolina and Dallas.
And those are the top two, David. Matt Rule at plus 350, Mike McCarthy at plus 450.
Yeah, I think they got it right. Rule's been there a year longer, and they're worse. So he's probably got it right.
Pete Carroll is next at plus 600.
That's ridiculous.
It is. Ron Rivera, the next name on the list.
That's not ridiculous. Daniel Snyder, remember, is the owner of the team, although, no, technically his wife is.
Cliff Kingsbury at 10-1 is next.
Huh.
Frank Reich is next. Dan Campbell and Mike Vrabel after that. And then Arthur Smith, Kevin Stefanski, and Robert Saleh are all at 14-1.
Hold on a second. Can we go back to the Mike Vrabel? Do you know how many consecutive winning seasons the Tennessee Titans have had? 6. 6 consecutive winning seasons. They were the 1 seed in the AFC playoffs last year. I will say, a lot of people say he's the most underrated. They're the most overlooked. I will say the most underappreciated NFL franchise in the last half dozen years is the Tennessee Titans. Do you know how many teams have a longer streak of consecutive winning seasons than the Tennessee Titans? 2. Steelers and Chiefs. That's it.
It shows you how much we take playoff wins into account because they've been able to do zip, zilch, nada in the postseason.
They had the one run under Tannehill. They got to 2019. They got to the AFC Championship game. They won 2 road playoff games that year. Tom Brady's last game as a Patriot was a playoff loss at home against Tennessee, and then Tennessee went into Baltimore and beat Lamar and the Ravens when they were the number 1 seed. So, and they get no credit for that.
It's another reason. Yes. And on top of it, it's so funny. They beat Lamar. It's the reason Lamar gets no credit for being a good quarterback because they were upset in the postseason, but Tennessee gets 0 credit for having beat them. It's as if that game didn't exist in NFL history, David.
Right.
We give no credit to Tannehill for winning it, and we take away everything for Lamar for losing it. Lamar was a bum. He's a choke. He's can't get it done in the postseason. But Tennessee gets 0 credit for winning.
Now, do I think the Titans missed their golden opportunity last year? I do. Things I felt fell almost perfectly for them. If you if we had said this out loud, not to spend a ton of time on this team, but if you think about it, Derrick Henry gets hurt and misses over half the season, and they end up with the number 1 overall seed in the AFC playoffs. I mean, come on, you can't ask for more than that before the season starts, and they get it. And then they get Cincinnati at home after they've already beaten the likes of Kansas City and Buffalo at home. And they blew it. Tannehill had the worst big game of his life. He did. And he knows it. I mean, it's bothered him so much, he said he had to go see a therapist. All right? And it's not a laughing matter. All right? And when you look at the Titans and you look at how they were constructed, think about it. They had to trade A.J. Brown because they couldn't afford to keep him. I mean, you could argue that's maybe the best team they're going to have in the Vrabel era. It seems as if that was their golden opportunity and they let it slip away. But Mark, right now, my $20, Titans or Colts to win the South. Colts haven't won that division since 2014.
I know they have not, David. But I'm going to take Matt Ryan.
All right.
I think it's really close. But Henry getting hurt last year, no A.J. Brown. I am going to lean Colts, and I think it's really close.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Mark, you'll have your answer before the month of September is out because the Colts open at Houston and at Jacksonville. And we all know how the Colts have found ways recently to lose to teams that they shouldn't be losing to. And the streak at Jacksonville's what? They haven't won there in 6 years?
Right. Absolutely embarrassing.
So if things are going to be different this year with Matt Ryan as quarterback, Mark, you're going to find out that literally the first 2 games of the season. If the Colts aren't 2-0, as a Colts fan, I think you got to go, well, there's nothing different with this group.
No, and with that division getting Jacksonville and Houston twice each, that's 4 wins that the schedule maker's giving you. And Indianapolis has been unable to take those 4 wins in the last few years, and that's been their demise.
In the first 7 weeks of the season, by the way, the Colts play the Jags and Titans twice each. 4 of their first 7 are against the Jags and Titans. Remember how the Colts started 1-4 and 2-5 last year? Colts better be at least 5-2 7 weeks into this year. And I don't care that they've got the Titans and they got the Broncos and the Chiefs also on their schedule. I don't care. I mean, 4 of your first 7 are the Jags and the Texans. I mean, come on now. But so anyway, just going off on got to fire Mike Vrabel. Give me a break. That's laughable. Tell you what, though, the Ron Rivera one's not.
Well, you know the one that I find interesting on here is Kingsbury. And I know they just paid Murray all that money.
Yep.
What if things start out really badly in Arizona? Of the coaches I was looking at on that, for the money, for the odds, the Kingsbury at plus 1,000 was the one that caught my eye. You caught Rivera because of Snyder, and I think there are a lot of reasons to do that. Kingsbury caught my eye because what if things go badly in Arizona, David?
Well, the reason why it might get late early if that happens is, remember, the Cards were 7-0 last year, finished 11-6, and then got blown out in the playoff game, which means the Cardinals lost 7 of their last 11. That was after the year before losing 4 of their last 6 to miss the playoffs, including losing a home game to a Niners team without Jimmy G that finished in last place. So there are already questions about Kingsbury. Cardinals have a few too many penalties if you're a GM or an owner also. They don't seem as if they're the most well-coached team in the league either.
And just humor me for a quick second. They open with Kansas City at home, at Vegas, and home for the Rams. They happen to be 0-3 there going to Carolina. Kingsbury could be in trouble early. That's all I'm saying.
Boy, and think about that then. Arizona at Carolina is the loser unemployed.
It very well could be.
And it could be Kyler Murray against Baker Mayfield. Wow, who's got that game? That game now, and if that scenario is in play, that game intrigues the heck out of me.
Right now, that's a Fox game at 4:00 of all things. It's a 4:05 game on Fox.
Oh, well.
So you'll need the package to be able to watch that without any 425 on that. But yeah, just one of the things we're looking at, the coaches that are going to get fired. By the way, did you see yesterday when Baker and Darnold walked in, somebody they're cheering for Baker. They were going nuts for Baker Mayfield, and someone had a Browns Baker Mayfield jersey, and they're kind of waving at Baker. And Baker goes, "Get that thing the hell away from me."
Did not see that.
I love him. I do. I want Baker Mayfield to be good. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I would really like him to be an above average quarterback. He doesn't have to be a great quarterback, but I want Baker Mayfield. I would love to see a revenge year for Baker Mayfield.
I think most people would.
I don't
Starting
know.
With
I
Matt
think,
Rule.
yeah, well, he definitely would. I don't know, Felipe. I definitely think that's a
Look, he will forever be the quarterback that got the Browns to the playoffs. Obviously, he didn't do it by himself, but you know what I mean.
yeah, that's for Browns fans. But nationally, the guy did a lot of commercials, and for whatever reason, when you don't win and do commercials, that rubs people the wrong way. Why it does, David and I will never understand. It takes him a day to do that, and he gets paid. But he rubbed people the wrong way in college. He rubbed people the wrong way early in his professional career. I think he's a very polarizing figure. I think there's no middle ground with Baker. You either are a Baker Mayfield fan or you don't like him one bit.
I do think, though, that Deshaun Watson helps Baker Mayfield. Because I think you got a few people who are going to be like, wait a minute, he lost his job because of this guy? Huh. And people who maybe weren't even Baker Mayfield fans are kind of like, well, I hope he does well. I hope he makes Cleveland look bad for the choice they made.
You are right, David. When I was at the Westoff book signing event last week, they're talking to a former Browns fan.
What?
Talking to a former Browns fan. Born and raised in Ohio and raised near where Burrow grew up. And he said, you know, when Cincinnati got Burrow, because I've watched this kid his whole life, I was rooting for him. And when they made the trade for Deshaun Watson, I was done. I've switched.
Wow.
And this was a guy older than me. This was not someone in their 20s who can change
Right.
their team affinity. This was someone that was in their 50s or 60s going, no, I'm done. That was it. That was the last straw. And, you know, I mentioned we've had Andy Baskin on our show many times, and not that that's the overlying theme with Browns fans, but he's even said that there are some of them out there. So you are right that I think Deshaun Watson did a lot for Baker's Q rating, if you know what I mean.
And come on, Baker Mayfield and Carolina hosting Cleveland week 1. I mean, dude, that's just gold. The NFL has got their act together, but they get lucky sometimes too. And that's a lucky scheduling break. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. That's floridasportsnetwork.com for the Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark, where'd you go to college again?
Felipe, Michigan State.
That's right. Okay. So, you were there 4 years?
5.
5. Your last 2 years or year or so, did you stay in an apartment?
Yes.
When you left that apartment, was it depressing?
No.
Oh.
I couldn't wait to get out of college.
Yeah.
I wanted to move. I wanted to get south. I wanted to get the hell out of Michigan.
That's true. But yeah, I've had the same roommate for 4 years now, and like we're moving out, and man, we had so much fun in that apartment. But I'm happy.
Oh, actually, I lived in a house my last 2 years. Let's say I went apartment, I went dorms, house, apartment, house.
I'm sure it was fun though. I mean,
Yeah, I'm still friends with all the guys that I lived with.
yeah, good. But yeah, moving out Sunday.
Yeah, my kid had to move out last week. I was all over him. Like, I don't understand why you paid full rent. And the guy said you have to be out on the 24th. I wouldn't leave.
Yeah, that don't make no sense.
And now he had to, I think, I have not talked to him much this week, but I think he, for a week, is living with his girlfriend, which I have been all over him about. And not in that way, because I couldn't care less. If he
No,
lives with
but
the girl.
just like,
I'm just giving him a ration of crap.
yeah, you know, my soon-to-be roommate is struggling with the same thing, and he had the option to live with his girlfriend. He's like, no,
Can't.
hell
Not
no.
at the age you guys are.
He was gonna
That's
live-
just stupid.
With his girlfriend at his girlfriend's parents' house in Marco Island. He's like, oh, hell no. Not
Won't
doing
do.
that.
Adam, I know you say a lot of crazy things. AJ McCarron was never a starting quarterback in the league. He had like a 3-4 week stretch where he filled in for an injured Andy Dalton. Baker Mayfield was starter in this league for 3 years? 4?
Yeah, Adam,
And
Four.
one playoff game.
I would light you up Stephen A. style for saying that.
I mean, you know,
Yeah, you're gonna
And
have to
also-
cheer, you're gonna have to cheer more money if you're gonna keep saying shit like that.
and also AJ McCarron has spent the last 8 years in the league. Now he's unemployed right now, but he has been paid for 8 years.
Now, he may have a hotter girlfriend, but that doesn't matter, okay? Talking about football here.
Yeah, that is an interesting question about what would your team have to do for you to stop rooting for him. It'd be, I think, impossible or very difficult to put into a poll question,
Mhm.
though.
Yeah. I can't even think of what the Heat would have to do for. It'd have to be something crazy. I guess, move. They'd move.
But see, Adam, once again, you could argue AJ McCarron. Put it this way: has any quarterback ever come closer to winning a playoff game and getting charged with a loss? Remember that Steelers-Bengals playoff game?
He won it, but who knows what happened?
If the guy fell down, the game was over, and he fumbles before hitting the ground, and the Steelers come back and win. He led them from behind in the fourth quarter, put 2 scores on the board. They had the lead. They get the first down, and the guy doesn't fall down, and he fumbles.
Come back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour on this final Thursday in July. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton. The Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when and final thoughts, all about 40 minutes away. I come at you from Jersey, getting a chance to see my mom. Also going to, just kind of stop on by the LIV event. All right. I had said before week 1, I did a little research for the announcers and sent it to them, but, made a phone call, asked a favor, and so I'm going to check this out. We talk about it a lot. I thought it would be good for, one of us to just kind of witness it firsthand, especially this one, see just how much protesting goes on, how close it actually gets to the club. I don't think, by the way, it will get very close to the club for a variety of reasons. It's private property. It's a former president who owns it. I just think for security reasons that they'll make sure that the protesting that is done is done. Like, I'll be curious, Mark, where I'm staying, I'm 6 miles from the course. I will be curious the road that I take, whether or not I will see any protesting on the way to the course, whether it's today, and the tournament doesn't really start today. It's a pro-am event today, but it starts tomorrow. They've done their press conferences. They've generated a lot of publicity. I'm curious as to how much on-site protesting there will be.
I think they'll be protesting where the closest point they can get to the venue is that they can legally be protesting is where they're going to be at. And I think there'll be a decent number of them out there.
When the week started, Monday and Tuesday, the New York metropolitan media was covering this hot and heavy. This may sound trivial, but the Subway Series in the last 36 hours has really benefited the LIV Tour.
There's no doubt, because think of it from the standpoint of, and I don't know how many of you watch the 4-letter network for their sports show or not, but whatever site you go to for your sports news, what was the lead story for the last 2 days? Was the Mets and the Yankees series. That's the way that it goes. So you are right, David. Think if the national media is all over that series, the local media is even more so. They're engulfed in it. Now the Yankees lose 2. They've already made a trade. Baseball is taken front and center. The Live Tour only matters of what the protests are, and they've already done those articles earlier in the week. So I think you're right. You're definitely onto something there, David.
Beginning Tuesday afternoon, the focus in sports and really, leading the newscast, one of the few stories in New York in which they would throw it to the ballpark in the A block would be Yankees-Mets Subway Series. And I think because the last 2 years, I don't think the Yankees and the Mets played. The schedule, I don't know if they played last year. And so anyway, this was the biggest quote-unquote Subway Series in a while. Both teams in first place. That had never happened before during the regular season when they met. So much has been made of this 2-game series. And I think it has helped the LIV in the area that they are hosting the tournament. The first 2 days of the week, all day Monday, a good chunk of the day Tuesday, they were getting crushed. Oh, yeah, Mets Yankees, 7 o'clock at Citi Field. And by Tuesday afternoon, right on through to about now, and Mark, as you mentioned, oh, the Yankees have lost 10 of 15. They had to go out and get Benintendi. When are they going to cut or trade Joey Gallo? That'll be interesting to see if the local news part of it kind of runs around that and returns here. And that's what I'm curious to see in the next 2 to 3 days.
But I do think the protest will be at whatever the closest point they can get to the golf course is, David. I do think that there will be substantial protest. I don't know about today, but tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday when the tournament's going on. I would think today as well with the Pro-Am. But how much it's covered really, it doesn't matter. If there's 500 people there and no one's covering it, it really doesn't matter.
I'm curious to see what the main focus of the protest is. Like, as Adam in the Twitch chat asks, are they protesting LIV and the blood money, or are they protesting Trump? Or both?
No, it's LIV. This is not a Trump protest.
Okay,
right?
okay.
It's not. You've got to trust us on this. This is not a Trump protest. This is all about September 11th. All right. And Saudi Arabia's connection to it and where the location of this tournament is. Now, there are people who are disappointed in the former president that he would lend his course to this tour. But there are many courses in this area, in theory, where this tournament could have been held. And if it was held at any of those courses, it would be the exact same protests. It would. This is not a Trump thing. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, this is a 9/11 thing.
Totally. This is a September 11th Saudi Arabia thing. They are much angrier at Phil Mickelson than they are at Donald Trump.
Curious if there are going to be any crowds for this, because like every other event, if you follow any of these players on social media, they are simply tweeting out, want free tickets, retweet this with, Poulter 25 at the end of it, and I'll give you a free ticket. To get a ticket to a Live Tour event is the easiest ticket that there is in sports today. It is harder to get a single A ticket to a Mighty Muscles game than it is to get a ticket to an LIV Tour event, okay?
And obviously,
parking might be more expensive at the minor league baseball game.
But boom, certainly parking is.
That really wasn't meant as a joke.
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started.
So, obviously, I grew up in Jersey and still have some close friends here. And probably my closest friend who lives in the state is my buddy Bob. We go all the way back to my first weekend at college, so I've known him literally nearly 40 years. And he is a huge golf fan, and so is his wife. And they travel around the country playing golf. I mean, they both do pretty well for a living, and 3-4 times a year, they're able to take some time off and they play golf. And usually, if there's a golf event in the New York metropolitan area, they will attend it, male or female, at least one day of it. That's how into golf they are. And so I said, hey, would you? And he was like, absolutely not. No interest at all. And I said, is it the LIV part? He goes, no, it's the golf part. I have no interest. None. I'm like, come on, you like Phil and you like the golf. Some of these golfers, you like good golf. He's like, I have no interest in the golf at all.
That's fascinating to me because where we are, we're lucky enough here in Southwest Florida, we get the one tournament a year with the big boys, but it's the QBE shootout. And that's a made-for-TV event. There's no cut. There's a winner, but there's no cut. It's a team event. And you and I marvel at the fact that we get this many great players that come to our backyard. And you get to see guys up close and personal, which is what I would say about the Live Tour event, because there aren't going to be a lot of fans there. You're going to be able to see DJ at point blank range, Phil Mickelson at point blank range. To me, you're going to be able to see a lot of golf, and a lot of these players hit shots. Their skills haven't changed because there's no cut. So, Bob, I think you're making a mistake. Because, Bob, if it were about the morality of the Live Tour and the Saudi money, I'd actually say, okay. But if you're telling me that you're a huge golf fan and you're not going to go see 5 Masters champions play golf in your backyard, Bob, Come on, man.
But,
If
and
it
I don't
wasn't
know
Bob, I wouldn't have nearly as much fun with that.
I think it was this past Monday, maybe it was 2 Mondays ago, but we started a show by you saying, David, I playing golf over the weekend with my guys at the club, blah, blah, blah. And you said, A, everyone's talking about it, and B, they all hate it.
They do.
But I'm curious, next couple times you play with them and you have a chance to ask this group again, all right, would they go?
Because you're not going to have to pay for it. Bob would not have to pay for a ticket, and not because his good friend David could get him one. All Bob would have to do is go to Ian Poulter's Twitter account and retweet something, and there's going to be 2 left for him at will call. I mean, I'm not joking. They cannot give tickets to these events away.
Well, and also think about it. One of the things we always raved about the QBE shootout, they've got 36, 32 guys on the course. And it's awesome. You literally can get to see, everybody, and it's easy access. Well, you got 48 guys. That's it. This isn't 156 guys. And I mean, it's a shotgun start.
You got 5 hours to watch this thing. It's
right. You don't have to be there all day. You know exactly where they're going to be when. All you need is the schedule of where they started. So I will say, though, they've off the field, if you will, they obviously have some momentum. They're a year ahead of schedule. They weren't supposed to go to 14 tournaments till 2024. They're doing that next year. And with people, David Faraday, Barkley's here today to potentially not just play in the Pro-Am, but maybe do a deal. I mean, they ain't doing a deal unless they know. I mean, they got to have a TV deal coming. Have to.
And if they start getting any numbers, if they get, what do you think they'll rate when they start televising these events in the States? Golf gets do they get 30% of an average tournament? You know what I'm talking about, David. We don't care about the Masters. They're never going to get Masters numbers. Are they going to get 30% of what a normal of this week, the Rocket Mortgage Classic's going on in Detroit? Pretty decent field. Will they get half of that audience when they start airing these?
The Rocket Mortgage will get 2.5 million people to watch them on Sunday, maybe 3, but probably 2.5. Probably 2 on Saturday, 2.5 to 3 on Sunday. So you're asking, would the LIV tour next year on either Fox or Turner, let's say? Let's put it on Turner. All right. You're saying, would they get
1.5? No, would they get half?
Half. Would they get 1 million?
Half. Yeah, would they get 1 million?
Would they get 1 million?
I think they would.
I think it'd be close. I think they'd get at least 800,000. I think they'd get a third of the PGA Tour audience.
That'd be a big win if they start out with those numbers. For all of the negative commentary about this, and they're doing 30 to 50% of what the PGA Tour is doing, I'll tell you right now, Greg Norman would do cartwheels for that.
Well, and Mark, I also think some of it is, who's going to join between the end of this PGA Tour season and the beginning of next year? And the rumors are running rampant. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not giving you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
CBW, that's a fair point about, hey, if money is no object, isn't it far easier to be ahead of schedule? Yes. But I think also part of it has to be that there was enough interest elsewhere to have these tournaments.
And they're getting the other 6 courses for next year. They're getting some in the States after both courses they've played in so far have been met with huge opposition to these events happening there. I mean, Pumpkin Ridge, people were pissed in Portland. I mean, pissed.
Pissed that LIV was there?
Yeah.
Damn.
Because of the drunk driver from Saudi Arabia that killed the girl. You missed that story on the show?
Well, hold on, because what are they protesting all of Saudi Arabia?
They're protesting the fact that Saudi Arabia had a lot to do with 9/11. That's what they're protesting.
And in Portland, they protested the fact that a Saudi national is the one that they believe was responsible for getting drunk and getting behind the wheel of a car and killing. Is it one person and injuring another?
It was a teenager that they killed.
And was a student at the University of Oregon, and they took their passport away and they put an ankle bracelet on this person. And then amazingly, okay, this person who couldn't leave the country and who had an ankle bracelet on them ditched the ankle bracelet and returned to Saudi Arabia.
And TBW, the members aren't pissed. Some of the members at Pumpkin Ridge were. I've not heard of the membership really. Some members, mostly the public, mostly the people in the city that it's at.
Right.
Hey, so if this exchange goes through for Brittany Griner, is Merchant of Death guy just going to keep on dealing arms?
I'm sure.
Until we assassinate him, yeah.
Right, gotcha.
Which, of course, we don't do.
No, not at all.
No.
Of course not.
But we might be able to call on our friends, the Israelis, to do it. They have no problem doing it.
Oh, boy.
They don't have a problem doing it and putting their name on it.
Good God.
I'll make a little prediction. Putin says no.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Putin's like, we've got plenty of arms dealers. Although this guy seems like a pretty elite one.
What an article. I found an article that gives you the history of different sandwiches, like a whole history on the Cuban sandwich.
Ooh, nice.
It's 500 years old. For the Taino, I believe that's how I pronounce it, Taino tribe in Cuba.
Is it messed up to say this guy is probably the Brittany Griner of arms dealers?
I actually think he's better than that.
Well, Brittany Griner might go down as one of the best WNBA players of all time. Diana Taurasi is number one, in my opinion. Come on.
That Parker girl's pretty good.
Candace, yeah.
That's where I'd start, but that's me.
The Sioux girl.
She's pretty
Sue
good too.
Bird. If Maya Moore didn't retire early, Maya Moore was really good.
And Sean, they're actually not protesting the current thing. That's why the New York people are families of 9/11 victims protesting. Sean, that's who's protesting in New York.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Our poll question: you win Mega Millions, which is now Mega Billions. You buying a jet or a yacht? It's a close vote. Why don't you help decide it? FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Also, while you're there, sign up 2 weeks tonight, Thursday the 11th, in Fort Myers, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe, the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with Dr. Roto, who will be a regular every Thursday on our show, taking your questions and giving you the best fantasy advice. We figured Thursday would be the perfect day to do it. And so start your year out with the good doctor and us. 2 weeks from tonight, we'll even feed you. How about that? So go sign up. Hope to see you there.
Do you think down the road that, since we're just in the bonus hour, we were talking a little live tour, how long before the QBE shootout goes away and is replaced by a live tour event?
Ooh.
Or ever?
Ooh. I think they will try desperately hard to not go that route.
So you think, do you think the QBE shootout, because look, there have been many times that this tournament was in trouble in this area. Now QBE signed on and they're financially in good shape. But do you think that the live tour is the reason they're going to try as hard to keep the QBE shootout? Because they don't want to lose an event to a live tour event in this market.
I just think that it's so successful that why screw it up? You know, that if I'm QBE, and, you know, it's our understanding until we hear otherwise that Greg Norman is still the tournament host of the QBE shootout.
Which the level of biting irony with that is at an all-time high for me. It is delightful.
But remember, QBE is an Australian-based company, and they have a very close relationship. So, you know, we'll see. But as of now, until we're told otherwise, you know, he's still the tournament host. But you still have guys who want to come. I mean, filling the field's not the problem. The money is not the problem. I mean, now they've had, think of all the side programming and everything. I mean, this has become, Mark, is there a bigger, how many bigger things are there in the 239 than the QBE shootout?
There aren't many. I mean, I would actually say that the Naples Wine Fest is probably bigger.
Yeah.
And, I mean, and I'm talking not just sports. So the Wine Fest.
Okay. I mean, QBE shootout or the parade in downtown Fort Myers.
The
Edison Fort. Yeah. Okay. I'll, you know, I mean, it's not national and it doesn't, I don't think
but from an event standpoint, the Edison Parade of Lights is up there as far as the big events that we have in Southwest Florida.
Yeah. QB shootout third.
It
With
might
that
be higher than the parade. I mean, if you want to throw spring training in as one
okay,
thing.
right. I mean,
No. And I see, no, I mean, and you and I think it's the number one sporting event down here. We have forever.
yes. Yeah, I mean, these are
We think
PGA
it's
Tour
bigger
players.
we think it's bigger than spring training. We always have thought that.
But now we know spring training is a much bigger impact on our economy and all that. Of course, I mean, we're not idiots. But just in terms of a sporting thing, I mean, even though that is a 3-day cash cow event, okay, but I don't know. Anyway, you could debate it. And if you want to put spring training ahead of it, fine. But I mean, it's a big deal down here. And it's doing well now. I mean, and the irony was, even in years past when it was in trouble, it wasn't in trouble because the event was not successful. It was in trouble kind of like the way NASCAR teams are sometimes in trouble. It's like, wow, I got a good driver. We're a really good team. But if I don't get a corporate sponsor, we can't field this team next year. And it sucks.
And because of QBE, we've got ourselves a sponsor.
Exactly. Thank you very much. We're a 2-driver team now. And we're
I feel like I should put a hat on right now that has QBE on it.
That's right. Hand out here you go. Put this on, buddy. Why are we pushing this car? It's my engine in that car. I paid for it. Yep. Working a little Days of Thunder into our.
Sorry, if you didn't catch it, that's what it was.
What I am more curious about, to me, the reason it would go away, I actually don't think will be QBE. I think it will be they fill that event off of largely FedEx Cup standings. Now, some of it are relationships Greg has with players and what have you, but
there's an actual order of merit, if you will, to get into this tournament now.
Right. And what we're all wondering is how nasty, how far is this war between the LIV and the PGA Tour, between Greg and the LPGA Tour, or the PGA Tour to Greg
this year? Because of who's not going to show up, rather, because Greg Norman's if he's indeed still the tournament host, and that's the information that we have, if he's still the tournament host, there's going to be players that just are going to refuse to show up because of that.
We'll see. It's still officially a PGA Tour thing.
Right. It's a PGA Tour event that doesn't count for PGA Tour or anything. But it's on their schedule.
So I think we're okay. I know we're okay for 2022.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think we're going to be okay. I think, Mark, if anything happens, do you think the PGA Tour asks to leave or Greg is asked to leave?
I think Greg is asked to leave. But part of the allure of this event has been Greg Norman.
Of course.
And without a tournament host who has a lot to do with the Pro-Am side of this, has a lot to do with QBE.
Also with the charitable aspects of it. Greg, usually a couple of the charities that they raise significant money for, 5-6 figures for, crooked numbers, he is intimately involved in.
So I continue to pay attention to this because I do think that there's turmoil right now. I don't know how there couldn't be a little bit of uncertainty going forward with this event.
Let me ask you this. Knowing the demographic and political makeup of Southwest Florida, if it became an LIV event, still with the Saturday night concerts, by the way, if it became an LIV event, do you think the same number of people would show up?
I do. I actually do. Because the field would be better than what they've ever had.
Well, yes, it would.
And at the end of the day, I think that's what most people down here would care about It's why I'm so surprised at Bob at the end of the day. At Bob the golf fan who's saying, you know what? They're not playing for anything. I don't want to go see a golf exhibition. I don't want to go see Phil Mickelson and Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka. That's from a golf fan, that really surprises me because as a golf fan, if I were there, I'd be there for 4 days. I'd be there today and I'd be there every day of the tournament.
And in the part of the country that I'm sitting in right now, Jersey, Phil Mickelson is far and away the most popular golfer. Phil was more popular in the Northeast than Tiger. And they are all over Phil right now.
Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. Today was a day when what's on tap. All still ahead right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again. The Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit.
We want you to win your fantasy football league, so we've recruited an expert just for you.
Dr. Roto, who you hear regularly Thursdays on Miller and Moulton during the season, will give you his tips, advice, and insight just days before your fantasy draft.
In addition to that, you'll get food and drink and all of your questions answered. You'll leave the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with the Dr. Roto cheat sheet so that you can draft a great team and follow his award-winning insight throughout the season.
So if you want to win, we'll see you August 11th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe for dinner, drinks, and the doctor. Dr. Roto, that is.
Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up today. That's floridasportsnetwork.com for the Fantasy Football Summit.
Thursday, August 11th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Aces plays with help hardware parts.
That's next level horrible, David.
But look at the quote unquote
Oh.
stars from that
Oh.
time who were in
Three's Company chicks that are in there.
Kathleen Crosby in there. Burgess Meredith, for goodness
Yeah.
sakes. The Happy Days. Oh, yeah.
Ted Knight. Oh my God, that's terrible. That's great. Thank you for that. No, I've never been to Wichita. If I've been to Kansas, I don't think I've been to Kansas.
Hey, ESPN.com reporting Schneider's going to testify.
Oh. You know, this will probably happen in the future, but why the hell isn't there an LIV event in Southwest Florida? We just talked about this. Like,
Did you?
no, I know, but seriously, this needs to happen.
Well,
Like,
it won't happen while the shootouts here.
but Mark, you're right. It would do well.
Also, I don't know if we're a big enough market for them. If you look at where they're going.
Well,
But it's golf, though.
the one point someone made is that these are kind of like these elitist events. That, you know, they're making these out to be more elitist. That's the only reason I think that we could. And I'm with you, David.
I mean, I just think if this area is going to attract anything besides minor league baseball, it would be golf.
Well, I mean, we do pretty well. We have a Champions Tour event. We have the LPGA Tour Championship.
I got to go to one of those, the LPGA Tour Championship. Sounds cool.
I think golf's incredibly boring in person.
Yeah, I only went to
Unless-
one. I went to the
Unless you got a suite.
Well, it's it. Like when I went to the shootout, when I would get the Shark Tank tickets and get to sit and have free drinks upstairs all day, that's a riot. I've never watched any golf at the shootout. I've been a handful of times. I've never left the area where I get free eats and drinks.
I only went to one golf tournament in my life, and it was the last Cadillac tournament in Doral in 2016. And the thing I enjoyed the most was just seeing the players up close and not really the golf. The golf I could really care less about. I was like, oh, nice shot on the green. Cool. Oh, nice putt for birdie. Nice. You know, I'm standing 10 feet away from freaking Phil Mickelson. I'm like, oh, look, it's Jordan Spieth.
That's why people go.
Yeah.
Spirit got bought by JetBlue.
$3.8 billion. People are wondering whether that comes with like seats and luggage and what have you. Hello.
No, you'll have to pay for your seat. You'll have to pay for your bag. You'll have to pay for your carry-on.
Have you guys ever flown Spirit?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
God. How was it?
Fine.
Oh, interesting.
I had to one time. It was the only arrangement I could take to get where I needed to go by a certain time.
I don't think I've been on a flight since before COVID. Seems like for a bit there.
I'm just laughing because Felipe in that time, I think I've been on 150.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until we're done. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. So Daniel Snyder apparently, wow, they kept this quiet. Apparently he's testifying voluntarily before Congress this morning via Zoom in private. But it's taking
So no
place right now.
transparency then, huh?
Well,
I mean,
transparent for the people on the committee, but I mean, you figured that was his demand, right? Listen, I've said no. I've said no. I've said no. I've said no. I'll do this, but I ain't doing it publicly. Nobody's sitting home on C-SPAN or C-SPAN whatever and watching this. Got it?
what fun is there in that for us, David?
Well,
Can't wait for the transcripts for this one to get out.
so
You know what bothers me about him more than anything? And there's a lot of reasons to be bothered, and he's not a good person and all that. Every time they show a photo of him, it's in that Washington football team 1973 varsity jacket, and he looks like a flippin' idiot. Every time I see that picture, you remember the old Robert, I know Felipe doesn't, you remember the old Robert Conrad battery commercial, I dare you to knock this off my shoulder?
yes.
That's what I see every time I see him in that jacket. And I want to miss his shoulder and hit him squarely in the nose. Oh,
Apparently now the Kremlin's not happy that the proposed trade of arms dealer Victor Bout for Paul Whelan and Brittany Griner has been made public. We're only somewhat tongue-in-cheek because that's literally how it's being reported, not just on sports sites. It's how it's being reported on news sites. I mean, it's a swap after all. We got somebody you want. You got two people we want. We can debate who gets the better of the trade and, how it impacts their lineup and our lineup. But so apparently the Kremlin wants to keep this quiet. I'm telling you, he's going to say no. And at that point, the deal's off. There's no more dealing.
Would be wildly fascinating if you are right with that prediction, David.
Speaking of wildly fascinating, the Yankees get Andrew Benintendi from the Royals, which was interesting because, the Yankees last week, Mark, 2 weeks ago, they were not interested in Benintendi. Why?
Because he couldn't play in Toronto. He hadn't taken the shot, and that was
right.
going to be a problem for any team that was acquiring him.
Right, and the Yankees are like, listen, the Jays are in our division. We still have one more series in Toronto. We may have to play them in a divisional round or an LCS, and I mean, if he can't play, we're not interested. So last night, after losing to the Mets, they acquired Benintendi for 3 minor league pitchers, and Mark, you're not going to believe this, but apparently now he's going to get the shot.
Now he's going to get the shot, huh?
Right.
He had a beard, he shaved that, and he got the shot all at once, huh?
Right. Well, Mark, I will say he is improving 26 and a half games in the standings.
You'll do a lot for that.
And it is rich. The Yankees play the Royals in a 4-game set beginning tonight at the stadium in the Bronx.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
There's not a lot today, David. Some birthdays, but not a lot of things, unless I completely, spit the bit and didn't see it. But we start today in 1896 when the city of Miami became incorporated. Happy birthday, Miami.
How old?
Yeah!
126.
I love that.
1929, David, the Chicago Cardinals became the first NFL team to train out of state, signaling in training camp. 1951, Alice in Wonderland was released. 1954, On the Waterfront was released. 1973 was the Watkins Glen Outdoor Summer Jam. 600,000 fans attended. 150,000 tickets were sold. The rest of them got a free concert, seeing the band, the Allman Brothers, and the Grateful Dead, among others. Apparently, the crowd was so big that there was a lot of people that couldn't even see the stage.
Damn.
This one's for David and I, and anybody else that is a fan of this gentleman. Today in 1989, Dale Murphy hits 2 3-run home runs in an inning, becoming the 14th man to hit 2 home runs in the inning. He also would tie a record with 6 RBI in an inning. Anytime I can get a Dale Murphy stat in there, David, you know I'm going to do it.
Well done.
93 Jr. is the third to hit home runs in 8 straight games. Today in 1995, Art Modell's rep begins secret talks to move the team to Baltimore. And in 2002, David, no one won the Tour de France. And also, we won't see it, but in 2061 is the 31st predicted passage of Halley's Comet. We'll probably miss that one, David. Felipe should be able to see it.
2031? Come on.
2061.
Oh, I think you said 31. Whoops.
2061 is the 31st passage of Halley's Comet. Those born today that are no longer with us, Jackie Onassis and Hugo Chavez. Those that are still with us, Bill Bradley is 79. Jim Davis created Garfield. He is 77. Sally Struthers is 75. Vita Blue is 73. Doug Collins is 71. Gar Snow is 53. Elizabeth Berkley, from Saved by the Bell, she's 50 today. Manu Ginobili is 45. Soldier Boy is 32. And Nelly Corda is a mere 24 years old today. Miss anything over there?
Well, I'm a little gun shy after jumping in last week, thinking you missed a couple things. So, because I was kind of doodling.
Right.
Animal House released today in 78.
Ooh, I missed that.
Okay. 14th Amendment adopted today in 1868. Granted citizenship to everybody, including those who used to be slaves. So kind of a big day. But Animal House, 44 years ago today.
That drunk and stupid is no way to go through life, son. That'll lead us right to...
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
The Bonita Springs Fire Department. Because a dog spent 5 days living in the woods after she darted away from home last week in the Quail West community. Owner Julie Lowe said, I felt helpless, absolutely helpless. But the Bonita Springs Fire Department spotted Tilly, the 6-pound pup who made it 3 miles from her home, hungry but not hurt. Bonita Springs Fire Department to the rescue. For the bad, I can't avoid this guy. Talking about the hot dog guy in Lehigh Acres again.
But it's bad this time?
It's bad because he got kicked out of his spot.
No!
Why?
He was on county ground, and a county employee stopped him and said he couldn't set up shop here anymore.
What a real hero.
That's ridiculous. Do we have to help this guy?
You should come to the parking lot.
I don't think we'd sell as many hot dogs in the parking lot as he was at Lehigh. They're going to try to find him something, but he got kicked out of his spot. We'll keep you updated as to whether or not he finds a new home.
Gotta get some dogs.
Finally, the ugly, we go to Tokyo, where people in a southwestern Japanese city have come under attack from monkeys. They have tried to snatch babies. They have bit people. They have snuck into nursery schools. The attacks on 58 people since July 8th are so bad that the city hired a special unit to hunt the animals with tranquilizer guns. We may have monkeypox in Florida, but we got Attack of the Monkeys going on in southern Japan. It's a B movie in there somewhere, David.
I got to admit, I'd make that trade. Okay, here, we'll give you monkeypox. I'll take the monkeys. I'll deal with the problem.
America style.
That is the good, the bad, and the attacking monkey ugly on today, July the 28th, 2022.
10 games in Major League Baseball on this Thursday. Many of them tonight. I believe there's a few that are played in the afternoon.
2-day games involve both of the Florida teams. The Rays and Orioles finished their series in Baltimore, 12:35 start there. Marlins and Reds, same thing, 12:35 tilt in Cincinnati between those two teams.
Getaway. Oh, sorry, Mark.
Oh, the Royals, as we mentioned, at the Yankees with that trade just happening, but everything else happening tonight, David.
And getaway days for both the Marlins and the Rays because this is the final of a 4-game series. And both the Marlins and the Rays need to win to split said 4-game series, both on the road. The one other headliner baseball game tonight, Seattle got swept at home by Houston after the All-Star break. Then Houston goes to Oakland and gets swept. So now Seattle, after winning a bunch of games against Texas, I think they won all 3. So now they're going to play again, only now they're going to do it in Houston. 4-game series. We'll see if Seattle can do a little better this time.
They've got to at least win a couple here. I mean, they're going to, they're playing, they're not going to win the division, but at some point you can't keep getting swept by the Astros. Other one to pay attention to, Guardians and Red Sox finish up their series. Red Sox just struggling.
They've lost 2 out of the first 3. They've lost like 11 of 13 and They're now below 500. What, 5 games out of a playoff spot with 4 or 5 teams ahead of them just to get the 6th seed? Not looking good. Not looking good in Boston. Some breaking news. I'm not an F1 guy, but Sebastian, I don't know if it's pronounced Vettel or Vettel, but he's won 4 F1 titles, and he says, I'm retiring at the end of this year.
Yeah, this is it for him. He's done at the end of the year. So that's a little F1 breaking news to round us out on a Thursday today. Training camps in full swing. Probably check in with a couple of training camps tomorrow, as well as football season is on the horizon.
Aren't you surprised that the judge, Sue Robinson, has not rendered her decision yet in the Deshaun Watson matter? I mean, she got all of the briefings, all of the paperwork 2 weeks ago, and she heard both sides make the case. And we all know, the adage, justice, moves slow sometimes, but I am really surprised. She's retired.
It's not like she's got a caseload to worry about.
Right. I really thought it was going to be done next week. She still would have had a week to damn near 10 days to, come to whatever decision she needs to come to and write it out. I mean, it's been a full 2 weeks since she's gotten all the paperwork.
Yeah, I am stunned at how long this whole thing has taken. It just leads me to believe that the NFL has told her, take your sweet time. I don't even want a decision back from you until August, whatever.
Listen, man, if I'm the Cleveland Browns, can we please get a decision, even if it's not good?
David, I know the Browns want it, but the one entity that to me should be pounding their fist on the table demanding it is the NFLPA. I get your point on the Browns, and the Browns need to find out. But if the union has threatened to go scorched earth, if it's going to be more than a year suspension, why isn't the union right now trying to protect one of its players and saying, what are we doing here? Why do we need to take more time on this? I would have thought the union would have used this opportunity to try to speed this along, David.
Well, and the other factor at work here is that we're all anticipating an appeal. I mean, do we think there is a judgment that both sides would accept? The PA has already said, if it's a year, we're going scorched earth. And the NFL has basically said, if it ain't a year, we're appealing. So, I mean, is it possible, Mark, that this is under appeal and has not been adjudicated by week 1?
Yes, it is possible, because at the rate they've been dragging their feet on this, how can we think that another 40 days could go by without something getting done? It seems, unfortunately, David, it seems likely at the pace that they're going at. If it took this long just to get a decision, we're going to have an appeal. How long before this appeal is heard? And then how long before we have the decision on said appeal?
And remember, the NFL not happy with the Browns with that contract
and
with Watson.
Right, 31 owners or 30 owners, and the Packers also the same exact way.
So, I thought it was going to happen last week. Don't you think we got to get something from Judge Robinson this week?
Well, we've been having a hell of a news dump on Friday the past couple of weeks. Maybe it continues. I mean, we have had more stuff coming out midday Friday than we're used to. That's been more actual news as opposed to a news dump. So maybe it's tomorrow, David. That's all we can hope for.
Well, selfishly, if they're going to do it, I hope they do it this afternoon or this evening so we could talk about it tomorrow. I mean, afternoon Friday doesn't do us any good.
Enjoy your time with Mom.
All right.
Get to a diner, would you?
Well, that's a done deal.
Fries, gravy, something like that seems to be in order.
Not
Bruce
a problem.
Springsteen on a jukebox, gold. Miller and Moulton, we thank you for listening. We'll be back at it tomorrow right here on the Florida Sports Network.
We did this before the pandemic, and now we're doing it again.